Chapter 722. Sky-locking bow. The dark silver bow in Zhao Feng's hand had mysterious carvings on it and it glowed silver. On the bowstring, a dazzling golden arrow of light surrounded by a layer of scarlet lightning energy pierced through the air. On the other side, the Yin-Yang Lord's heart went cold as he was locked onto by a sharp aura. His intent was suppressed by the child demigod Sky Sealing Palm, so he obviously couldn't dodge the sky-locking bow's attack. Whoosh! The golden arrow pierced through the air in the blink of an eye and broke through the restrictions of space. Shwa! The golden arrow seemed to come out of space and stabbed into the Yin-Yang Lord's head. This arrow had condensed Zhao Feng's scarlet destruction wind lightning to the maximum, and it also contained the intent of the god tribulation lightning. Apart from that, it also contained the spatial and metal elements of the sky-locking bow. This was definitely the strongest arrow that Zhao Feng had used since he obtained the sky-locking bow, and it could kill normal kings and even severely injured domain-level kings. Boom! The Yin-Yang Lord was unable to dodge since his spatial domain didn't have any effect. Even if he tried to dodge, he was still hit by the golden arrow. Sii. He couldn't help but grunt as the black and white light around his body started to spin, and the golden arrow exploded with a crack. The Yin-Yang Lord's body shook slightly. The sharpness of the arrow and the explosion of the scarlet destruction wind lightning had injured him. Because the arrow had hit his head, his mind was shaken. Mental energy spike. A cold purple mental energy spike shot out from Zhao Feng's left eye and stabbed into the Yin-Yang Lord's soul. This time, the mental energy spike unleashed 100% of its power without the restriction of the Hell Array. The Yin-Yang Lord was repeatedly restricted, and he suffered another vicious mental attack. He felt a stabbing pain in his mind, and he screamed as cold sweat appeared on his forehead. In terms of soul strength, Zhao Feng was on par with the Yin-Yang Lord, and he might even be slightly weaker. After all, the Yin-Yang Lord's soul and intent were extremely close to that of an emperor. However, Zhao Feng's mental energy spike was fired through the god's spiritual eye, and he had also cultivated the 10,000 divine thoughts technique and the dark eye secret technique. His mastery of the Tao of the soul surpassed the Yin-Yang Lord. In addition, this psychic stab was a thunderous counterattack. It felt like a sudden attack. The Yin-Yang Lord felt a sharp pain on his forehead. His mind was actually slightly injured. Not only that. Zhao Feng's soul had been cleansed by the god tribulation lightning. Therefore, the psychic thorn's attack contained the aura of tribulation lightning. That was a light injury to the mind that was difficult to heal. There was a trace of undying and imperishable aura. Yin-Yang King, are you alright? The Phantom King exclaimed in shock. On his side, he was restrained by the 4 giant hands of resentment power of the 100 Corpses formation. Inside the Great Ghost Corpse cursed formation, 100 sinister, blood-colored eyes unleashed terrifying psychic power attacks. The flame cloud of the 100 Corpses formation expanded to a radius of 10 li. Without the Purgatory formation, the Death Spirit Lord's side was truly at a disadvantage. Heaven sealing 18 palms. The child demigod's palm techniques didn't stop as he restricted the Yin-Yang Lord. At the same time, he unleashed his divine body fist techniques. Zhao Feng and the child demigod successfully suppressed the Yin-Yang Lord. This was especially true for Zhao Feng. His attacks could be both close and far, and his eye bloodline techniques were extremely hard to defend against. His speed was impressive, and his attacks were as fast as lightning. His bloodline defense was monstrous, and he could easily block the attacks of domain-level kings. Divine Light of Destruction. A dazzling cyan light that looked like countless tiny particles pierced through the Yin-Yang heavenly curtain and hit the black and white Yin-Yang light around the Yin-Yang Lord. The destruction god light's powerful splitting and analysis caused the Yin-Yang King's protective Yin-Yang light to dim and shatter, almost collapsing. Not good. It's a rare dispersal technique. The Yin-Yang Lord revealed a look of panic for the first time. His body and bloodline weren't strong, and he wasn't as strong as Zhao Feng and the child demigod. The Yin-Yang Lord's defense relied on secret techniques. However, Zhao Feng had grasped many I bloodline techniques, and he had many ways to counter them. The divine light of destruction could split apart and analyze all kinds of techniques. Hee, it's not over yet. A faint smile appeared on Zhao Feng's face. Ice soul shooting line. Another cold, transparent beam of light struck the Yin-Yang Lord, whose protective secret art had dimmed. See, a coldness filled the Yin-Yang Lord's soul. The Yin-Yang Lord's body froze. Under the child demigod's seal and Zhao Feng's lightning, he started to reveal flaws. This was the moment when the flaws were the most serious. Firstly, the mental energy spike had injured his mind, and he wasn't at his peak. Secondly, the divine light of destruction had weakened his defensive technique to the limit, and it was on the verge of shattering. Thirdly, the ice soul shooting line had lowered his speed and thoughts. Right at this moment, meow meow. A silver-gray line appeared beside the Yin-Yang Lord. A mysterious dagger that was as dark as a shadow seemed to have pierced through the void. Shwa! The Shadow Kill Imperial Dagger easily pierced through the Yin-Yang Lord's defensive technique, and blood splattered everywhere, but it soon froze. The Yin-Yang Lord's body froze once again. The freezing effect of the Ice Soul shooting line and the numbing effect of the Shadow Kill Imperial Dagger also took effect. In reality, with the Yin-Yang Lord's peak strength, the freezing effect and numbing effect didn't have much of an effect on him. However, the Yin-Yang Lord's defense was at its most vulnerable, and he was attacked continuously. Suddenly, he felt a strong sense of danger in his heart. Shwa! A translucent blade that was 20 feet long with traces of destructive tribulation lightning aura on its surface slashed through the Yin-Yang Lord's body. In that instant, blood splattered everywhere. He couldn't defend against it. It's this move. The Dark Soul King's expression changed dramatically. The Yin-Yang Lord's body froze, and fear started to spread on his face. So, the previous rounds of restrictions, neutralizations, and weakening were all for this final void space I slash. Void space I slash. The undulations of Zhao Feng's left eye returned to normal. The continuous use of eye bloodline techniques had consumed a lot of his energy. Shwa! The half-transparent blade contained the aura of God Tribulation Lightning, and it slashed through the Yin-Yang Lord's body, killing his life force. The Yin-Yang Lord's body was almost cut in half from the top to the bottom, from the inside out. Golden Emperor's Fist. The child demigod used this chance to attack, and his golden fist became bigger and bigger as it smashed the Yin-Yang Lord's body into a mess of flesh and blood. Zhao Feng's god spiritual eye had already seen the Yin-Yang Lord's organs shatter and his life force disappear. Sky-locking bow. Zhao Feng thought of something and immediately took out the sky-locking bow. When the figure of a black and white Yuan soul jumped out of his body. Whoosh! A golden arrow surrounded by crimson lightning pierced through his body and soul. The Yin-Yang Lord's physical body exploded. His origin soul was heavily injured and turned pale. With a whoosh, he used his fastest speed to fly into the distant void sea. The speed of his Yuan soul even surpassed normal emperors. Yin-Yang King, I'll cover you. Zhao Feng was just about to unleash a second arrow when the Phantom King pounced toward him without any regard for the consequences. The Dark Spirit King's body swelled explosively to a height of over 1,000 zhang, and he transformed into a massive dark spirit demon that exuded a devastating aura. The spectral demon was covered in a layer of dark flames that shook heaven and earth. Its battle power had reached the limit of a king and was close to that of an emperor. The child demigod's heaven-sealing palm and ghost corpse cursed array were barely able to stop it. No matter how powerful the secret technique is, it can only increase one's strength. Your soul and heart will remain the same. Zhao Feng sneered. Faced with this situation, he just casually threw out a punch. Fantasy Maze Domain. That punch contained an enormous Soul Dao spatial domain that engulfed the gigantic specter demon. The spirit demon's senses were in a mess. It was situated in a vast, ancient maze. It had lost its target and could only attack randomly on the spot. Boom! Boom! The attacks of Zhao Feng, the child demigod, and the ghost corpse cursed array landed on the vital points of the spectral demon. Although the spirit demon had powerful battle prowess, it was still howling miserably from the beating. Lord Dark Spirit King. The 10 or so death guards that were lucky enough to survive screamed in fear. The spirit demon fell into a desperate situation. It screamed miserably from the beating, but it only spun around on the spot. Dark Spirit King. The Yin-Yang Lord, who had escaped, couldn't bear to watch. Sirs, we can't let you die for nothing. The death guards that were ranked at the top gathered in a corner. Now that things have reached this point, we can only try to ask the Emperor for help. But the Emperor is still resting and hasn't recovered his soul power yet. He's very far away from here. The death guards discussed among themselves. How would we know if we don't try? A total of 9 death guards took out a token of death and sent a message. About 2 breaths later, when the 9 tokens of death shook as they sensed something. Great, we've contacted the Emperor. The leader of the death guards was overjoyed as he quickly reported the current situation. Next, Shua. 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 The 9 tokens of death floated in the air. Every single command token was pitch black like ink and emanated an ancient and deep aura. There was an ancient death character on the surface of the command token, and it emanated an aura of death that penetrated the soul. In the next instant, the aura of death from the 9 tokens of death merged into one point and formed a shocking intent of death. That's Zhao Feng and the child demigod's bodies shook as their expressions changed dramatically. Only to see, a pair of giant black eyes appeared above the 9 tokens of death. They were so dark that they couldn't be seen, as if they were connected to the world of death. The eyes of death. Cries of surprise could be heard from the crowd. That was great. The death guards, including the Yin-Yang Lord who had escaped, were overjoyed when they sensed it. On the other hand, Zhao Feng, the child demigod, and the skeletal division leader within the ghost corpse cursed array seemed to be covered in the shadow of death, and their bodies froze. This is one of the 8 great god eyes, the eyes of death. The child demigod took a deep breath, and it was as if he had fallen into an icehouse. He felt uneasy in his soul, as if his life wasn't in his control. Gaze of death. A cold voice sounded across the soul dimension, and everything within 10,000 miles became deathly silent. The eye of death was as cold as the heavenly Tao, and it quietly stared at Zhao Feng from above. Chapter 723. In the sky above the limitless ocean a pair of pitch-black eyes looked down coldly like the heavenly Tao, and a bottomless whirlpool could be seen in them, as if they were connected to the world of death. Gaze of death. A cold voice, accompanied by a will of death that reached the heavens and the earth, reverberated in this part of the sky. At this moment the power of the Eye of Death appeared and unleashed a Soul Dao forbidden technique that shook the Tsang Ocean. Within a radius of 10,000 miles, countless marine and human experts seemed to be covered by the shadow of death. Their hearts felt cold and uneasy, and they couldn't stop this power. This feeling was like an old man at the end of his lifespan, unable to stop the steps of death. The intent of death was the same as time, they were the most irreversible ultimate powers in the heavens and earth. The feeling of one's life not being in one's control was familiar to Zhao Feng. Back in the Purple Saint ruins, Zhao Feng had a similar feeling when he faced the token of death. The difference was, back then, the token of death was only the simplified version of the gaze of death. This time, the power of the Emperor of Death's Eye of Death was countless times stronger than last time. This feeling. The skeletal division leader's consciousness within the ghost corpse cursed array seemed to be restricted, and it wanted to leave its body. His soul cried out in agony. This was just a trace of the residual power of the gaze of death that had spread out. The eye of death. It can control the intent of death. This is the bane of all beings, especially souls. The child demigod took a deep breath and was stunned. Putting aside the fact that he hadn't even reached the void god realm yet, even if he became a king or even an emperor, he wouldn't be able to block this power. Almost no one in the Tsang Ocean could surpass the Emperor of Death in terms of understanding of the soul. The child demigod's breathing became heavy, and his soul intent felt suppressed. Although he didn't feel as much danger as the skeletal division leader, the feeling that his life wasn't in his control wasn't real. He couldn't help but look toward Zhao Feng. The purple-haired youth was the true target of the gaze of death. Gaze of Death was a single-target, soul-path forbidden technique. However, due to its powerful death-soul Dao profundities, the souls of nearby weak living beings could also be pulled away. Zhao Feng froze on the spot, his body and mind cold, a look of struggle on his face. An undefiable power of the soul Dao of Death enveloped his body and mind. His soul consciousness was enveloped by the forbidden energy, and it was being pulled by a tremendous force that wanted to break free from his body. Zhao Feng almost couldn't control his body. His forehead was covered in sweat. However, the willpower and conviction in his eyes had never been extinguished. Death gaze? This move again. Emperor of Death, can you be a little more creative? The purple light in Zhao Feng's left eye grew brighter and brighter. He muttered mockingly as he used the 10,000 divine thoughts technique, a supreme soul technique, to resist the pull of the death soul Dao. Boom! Zhao Feng's eye intent was like a sharp mountain that shot toward the pitch-black eye in the sky. This guy, the 9 death guards in the distance couldn't believe it. They maintained their token of death and were protected by the power of death. Zhao Feng's resistance against the gaze of death seemed to be even stronger than Emperor Mu Yun's. Furthermore, he could even counterattack. Gaze of death. How could I not be on guard against this move? A dark purple ocean appeared in Zhao Feng's left eye. With his eye intent as the lead, his resistance against the gaze of death became stronger, even though he was still struggling. So, Zhao Feng had obtained the Emperor of Death's memories from a death guard and used the gaze of death to steal Emperor Mu Yun's soul. That was just one of the reasons. There was another important reason. Don't forget that Zhao Feng had studied the Dark Eye Secret Technique before. The Dark Eye Secret Technique contained many of the Emperor of Death's Soul Dao Eye Bloodline techniques, but it didn't contain many offensive forbidden techniques. Although the secret technique didn't contain any records of the gaze of death, Zhao Feng's understanding of the laws of death could be underestimated. That was why Zhao Feng was on guard against the gaze of death. His god's spiritual eye was very resilient against soul Dao attacks. The 10,000 divine thoughts technique was a peerless technique for cultivating the soul Dao. Back then, Emperor Duanmu didn't even agree when some emperors wanted to trade it with him. Emperor of Death. Zhao Feng's cold laughter echoed in the soul dimension. You need a month to recover all of your eye bloodline power. It's only been half a month, and you're forcefully using a teleportation technique again? As soon as he said this, the hearts of the death guards and the Yuan soul of the Yin Yang Lord in the distance dropped. Forbidden techniques expended a lot of energy, let alone using them over such a long distance. As long as I can last for 10 breaths, your eye bloodline power won't be able to last, and you'll lose. As Zhao Feng fought back, he also fought back verbally and mentally. In the sky a cold smile appeared on the giant eye of the Eye of Death. Zhao Feng, you've indeed grown very quickly. However, you've underestimated the Eye of Death's control over the intent of death and its ability to counter souls. The cold and indifferent voice surged with an earth-shattering chill of death. When the whirlpool within the pitch-black Eye of Death started to spin, and the pulling force increased, Zhao Feng's body went cold, and all of his life force seemed to freeze. He knew that this was the intent of death that the eye of death controlled. Any living being would be countered by the power of death. Zhao Feng obviously wasn't a living being. The pulling force became stronger and stronger, and Zhao Feng's soul started to struggle powerlessly. I can't continue like this. Zhao Feng's heart went cold. His body had gone cold, and he couldn't control it anymore. The only thing he could control was his soul and the god's spiritual eye to fight against the pulling force. However, the pulling force from the gaze of death became stronger and stronger. Under the gaze of the eye of death, Zhao Feng's body went cold as he approached death step by step. With every breath that passed, Zhao Feng's struggling became weaker. Finally, human-shaped figure started to float out of Zhao Feng's body. Looking closely, it was Zhao Feng's soul. Zhao Feng's soul was extremely strong, and purple lightning surged around his body. His aura surpassed most kings. Is it going to end just like this? The child demigod and the skeletal division leader froze as the shadow of death enveloped them. Luckily, the power of the gaze of death was concentrated on Zhao Feng's body. They were mostly facing the mental energy pressure. However, when Zhao Feng's soul was about to leave his body, it met with resistance. When Zhao Feng's left eye suddenly constricted. You want to take my soul? You'll have to take the god's spiritual eye as well. Zhao Feng started to struggle in the face of death. The god's spiritual eye. This would be his greatest reliance, his final barrier. Zhao Feng's soul power had merged with his eye bloodline and it was hard to tell them apart. Back then, the reason why Zhao Feng was able to fuse with the god's spiritual eye was because his soul was perfectly compatible with the god's spiritual eye. Otherwise, the god's spiritual eye wouldn't have chosen him. This is the protection of the god's eye. For the first time, the eye of death revealed a hint of wariness and seriousness. The ninth god's eye was in existence on the same level as his bloodline's ancestor, the god's eye of death. Emperor of death, let's see how long you can last. Zhao Feng's roar sounded in the soul dimension. Ping! 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 Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye started to twitch. As if stimulated, some of the dormant power in the god's spiritual eye was awakened. Boom! In the eyes of the god spirit, a tyrannical aura of the primordial origin appeared. It looked down on the desolate land and the universe. Suddenly, he seemed to have transformed into a boundlessly enormous god from the primeval times. A single thought caused the ruler to submit, and every single move he made shook the world. This aura. Both friend and foe felt their souls shake as if they were ants in front of the power of a giant god. Insanity appeared in Zhao Feng's eyes. He had already given up on resisting the pull of the gaze of death. Attack. The strongest defense was offense. Ha! Zhao Feng roared, and an ancient aura that shook the sky appeared in the soul dimension. He circulated his eye intent, and all the soul power he had accumulated in his life shot toward the enormous pitch-black eye in the sky. Since he gave up resisting, Zhao Feng's soul and the power of his god eye charged toward the Emperor of Death like a heaven-devouring beast. How is this possible? The Emperor of Death's eye of death exclaimed as it endured the force of the ancient aura. Shwa! Zhao Feng's soul consciousness and god's spiritual eye left his body. Only to see Zhao Feng's left eye return to its normal black color, and his hair return to its original color. Then, a shocking scene appeared. A purple-colored god's eye appeared in the sky opposite the giant eye of death, and scarlet-colored lightning flashed on its surface. The purple-colored god's eye didn't seem to be illusionary. Instead, it seemed to be a real eye. One could see the eyeball and pupil in the air. From the looks of it, it was like an eyeball made of flesh and blood. This definitely wasn't the form of the eye of heaven, nor was it a pure soul body. The god's eye no longer existed in Zhao Feng's body. It had become one with Zhao Feng's soul, and it traveled through the great void. God's eye leaving body. Zhao Feng felt that his soul eye bloodline power had become stronger than ever before, and the undulation of his soul power wasn't any weaker than an emperor's. After reaching the Void God realm, all kings and emperors could leave their Yuan souls. Even if the body was destroyed, the soul wouldn't. Zhao Feng's soul, which was one with his God eye, left his body and roamed the great void in the form of his Yuan soul. In this state, Zhao Feng's compatibility with heaven and earth was extremely high, and he could fight even in his soul form. Emperor of Death, let's see if you can take away my God's spiritual eye. Zhao Feng's soul consciousness merged with the purple-colored God's eye, and it radiated a chaotic battle intent. Boom! The gigantic purple eye caused wind and lightning to rumble, and the aura of the God Tribulation lightning could be faintly felt as it charged toward the gigantic eye of death. Crack! Crack! The pressure from the God's eye caused the tokens of death in the hands of the 9 death guards to shatter. Bang! Boom! The purple-colored God's eye clashed with the pitch-black eye of death. Chapter 724. Bang! Boom! The soul dimension started to shake, and it was as if the physical dimension was shaking. The purple God's eye was filled with battle intent, and it was surrounded by a layer of scarlet-colored lightning that could affect the physical dimension and the soul dimension. On the other side, the pitch-black eye of death started to reveal panic and uneasiness for the first time. The eye of death hadn't truly descended, it was just connected to this place. It could use the gaze of death, but it didn't specialize in physical fights in the soul dimension. Boom! The immense impact of the purple God eye had already caused the enormous, pitch-black eye to show signs of instability. Brat, you win this time. The eye of death image in the sky strangely rotated and shrank, turning into a small black dot. The eye of death expended a lot of energy to use the gaze of death. Furthermore, the Emperor of Death hadn't fully recovered yet, and he was being attacked by Zhao Feng. The Emperor of Death knew that it wasn't realistic to try and kill Zhao Feng this time. Rather than being attacked by Zhao Feng, it was better to retreat and preserve some Yuan Qi. Shwa! As the eye of death turned into a small black dot and was about to disappear, the purple God's eye of death's shockwave engulfed it. Boom! The area where the eye of death was originally located was replaced by a large purple-colored God's eye, and scarlet-colored lightning howled as its eye intent shook heaven and earth. At this moment the eye intent that Zhao Feng displayed wasn't any weaker than an emperor's, and it contained a destructive and unstoppable aura. Whoosh! The eye of death disappeared long ago, and a wisp of black smoke rose from where it originally stood. You run pretty fast. The large purple-colored God's eye revealed a weird expression. The Emperor of Death retreated decisively in front of Zhao Feng's counterattack. He was extremely cunning. This way, the price the Emperor of Death had to pay was the lowest. Although the Emperor of Death retreated quickly, he was still affected by the backlash. The price he paid was definitely greater than when he fought against Emperor Mu Yun. The Emperor, The 9 death guards all spat out mouthfuls of blood, and their faces went pale. Boom! The purple God's eye that merged with heaven and earth shot out a beam of eye intent that swept across the 9 death guards. The eye intent instantly destroyed the souls of the 9 death guards along with the sound of destructive lightning. The 9 death guards were all dead. Instant kill. The giant purple God's eye was essentially the carrier of the God's spiritual eye, the form of Zhao Feng's soul leaving his body. In this state, Zhao Feng's soul's battle prowess was extremely strong, and his affinity with heaven and earth was even stronger. Hiss! The child demigod and the skeletal division leader couldn't help but take in a cold breath. When a normal king's Yuan soul left their body, they would usually use it to escape or for some other special purpose. They would rarely use it in battle. It was rare for Zhao Feng to fight in such an arrogant and overbearing manner after his origin soul had left his body. Whoosh! The purple eye that covered the sky suddenly disappeared. In the next instant, it returned to Zhao Feng's body. Who? Zhao Feng's body started to move, and his left eye and hair became faint purple. After returning to his body, Zhao Feng found that he was covered in cold sweat. The battle just now was too dangerous. Luckily, the Emperor of Death's true body hadn't descended, and he wasn't at his peak. The gaze of death used a lot of energy, and it had its own limitations. But after this failure, the Emperor of Death will need at least a month or two to recover to his peak. Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled as he said deeply. Following the failure of the Eye of Death, the battle on the battlefield had ended. The Dark Soul King was on the verge of collapsing, but he managed to escape after the gaze of death was used. The Yin-Yang Lord's Yuan soul was heavily injured, and it saw that the situation wasn't right, so it ran away. Even if these two Death Spirit Lords could keep their lives, it would take several years or even more than a dozen years for them to regain their peak strength. After the battle, Zhao Feng, the child demigod, and the skeletal division leader were all exhausted. Master! Should we go now? Otherwise, the Emperor of Death. Fear appeared in the skeletal division leader's eyes. The Emperor of Death had the ability to kill emperors even if he was several island zones away. If his true body were to show himself, he would be able to use his secret techniques and forbidden arts without any restrictions. The consequences would be unimaginable. There's no need to rush. Zhao Feng didn't deny that the Emperor of Death's true body was terrifying. If the Emperor of Death's true body descended, they might be instantly killed. However, even emperors couldn't cross such a distance easily unless they had the spacetime god's eye. Furthermore, the Emperor of Death had used up most of his energy. Let's go down first. Zhao Feng ordered the ghost ship to enter the limitless ocean. Not long later, somewhere in the void ocean, a young man in a state of suspended animation appeared. This youth was Wen Luoan, who had been knocked into the ocean earlier. Wen Luoan was the first person Zhao Feng tried to break through the Death Spirit refining array. Zhao Feng knew that Wen Luoan wouldn't die so easily with his 10,000 ancient races bloodline. Hua! Wen Luoan's body moved slightly, and he barely managed to open his eyes. At this moment, Wen Luoan's soul started to hurt, and his body started to become numb. Soul chains. Zhao Feng's left eye locked onto Wen Luoan and locked onto his soul. Wisps of purple lightning wrapped around his soul. This way, Wen Luoan couldn't even kill himself if he wanted to. Meow meow. The little thieving cat waved its paw and knocked Wen Luoan out again. At this moment, Wen Luoan's soul and body were both severely injured, and he was extremely weak. This is a good chance. Zhao Feng nodded his head. He didn't hesitate anymore and sent his eye intent into the depths of Wen Luoan's soul and placed a dark heart seal on it. The dark heart seal wasn't the same as the dark heart seed. Once someone was hit by the dark heart seal, they would completely enslave the target. Of course. Although the control of the dark heart seal was strong, it would restrict the target's growth. This was because the target's thoughts would be enslaved and lose their true independence. They would be like a puppet that only listened to orders, and it would be extremely difficult to break through. Therefore, Zhao Feng didn't use the dark heart seal on the child demigod. With the latter's intelligence, he would rather die than become a slave. The child demigod and the skeletal division leader were both affected by the dark heart seed. The dark heart seed was like a seed of death planted in the soul, a ticking time bomb. With just one thought, Zhao Feng could destroy the target's soul. Therefore, the dark heart seed controlled the target's life and death. The target had their own thoughts and might rebel, but their growth wouldn't be affected. 2 days later, the ghost ship had traveled a long distance and entered a new island zone. Master! The weak and fearful voice of a youth sounded in the captain's room. Wen Luoan half knelt in front of Zhao Feng respectfully. His gaze toward Zhao Feng wasn't just filled with respect, it was also filled with submission. The child demigod and the little thieving cat looked on curiously. I wonder how Zhao Feng will deal with the disciple of the Emperor of Death. The heart of the child demigod became heavy. Even a god beast with a mythical bloodline of the 10,000 ancient races was like a puppet after the dark heart seal was planted. The child demigod always lived in the shadow of the dark heart seed. After reviving, his life and death was in Zhao Feng's hands. As for the dark heart seed, if it was further strengthened, it would be the dark heart seal. Inside the captain's room, Zhao Feng interrogated Wen Luoan, and the latter answered everything he knew. No wonder the pursuit of death still hasn't disappeared. So, there's a successor of the destiny god's eye. Zhao Feng learned a lot of information from the interrogation. One had to know that the Tsang Ocean was extremely big. Even if he could sense it, trying to kill someone was like finding a needle in a haystack. Furthermore, Zhao Feng had reduced his senses to the max. Zhao Feng originally thought that his luck was too bad, which was why he was chased by the pursuit of death. Eyes of Destiny. The child demigod and the little thieving cat revealed weird expressions. Of the 8 great god eyes, the destiny god eye was the most unique. Its battle power wasn't the strongest, but it was probably the weakest. However, the power of destiny was something that couldn't be touched or controlled. The fan universe had experienced the immemorial era, the ancient era, and the ancient era. How many peerless experts had been born in that time? All the heavens' favorites and almighties couldn't escape their fates in the end. After that, Zhao Feng searched Wen Luoan's soul and learned a lot about the Emperor of Death. He didn't even miss out on his habits and personality. Knowing yourself and your enemy was the key to victory. Zhao Feng and the Emperor of Death walked on the path of confrontation. Either one of them died, or the other lived. It was necessary to know more about the enemy. 4 hours later, Wen Luoan, go back to your master first. Zhao Feng ordered. Understood, master. Wen Luoan had a respectful expression as he left the ghost ship with heavy injuries. Within the captain's room, Zhao Feng sat down and closed his eyes as he started to cultivate. Now, he was on par with a Void God Realm King in every aspect. In fact, he might even be stronger. The only thing he lacked was the amount of true yuan. He was only half a step away from becoming a true king. The ghost ship's route didn't change. It only stayed at the pirate sacred land for a month before continuing toward the sky sacred Qin Palace. Half a month later, in a small region of a miniature mountain forest. Looking down from the sky, the entire region was filled with verdant mountains and forests. Within a quiet canyon, Tseng. Wen Luoan staggered in pain and landed near the entrance of a cave. Plop. Wen Luoan fell to the ground and gritted his teeth as he said, Master. I have important news. Your Highness. 2 death guards immediately helped Wen Luoan up. You're still alive. A voice sounded. Shua. A dark, ancient, and tall figure appeared in front of Wen Luoan like the shadow of death. The Emperor of Death's expression was weak, but he inspected his disciple with joy. He seemed to sense something, and his expression changed dramatically. In the next instant, Wen Luoan's expression became dark as the true yuan within his body started to move, and he turned into a blazing sun that instantly self-destructed. Boom! Everything within a few hundred miles was engulfed by the blood-colored flames from Wen Luoan's self-destruction. The canyon in front of him was instantly leveled. Chapter 725. That deafening explosion was like an earthquake or a natural disaster. Even thousands of miles away, one could feel the faint shaking. Boom! From afar, the core of the explosion seemed to be the self-detonation of a blood-red golden sun. Dazzling blood-red flames and golden light wreaked havoc for hundreds of miles. The core area of the explosion faintly emitted an ancient forbidden aura. The power of the self-destruction this time was more than 2 times stronger than the one in the demigod Forgotten Garden. You should know. The self-detonation from last time had killed a death spirit lord. But this time, when Luoan self-destructed in his complete state instead of using a secret technique. This was because the power of the 10,000 ancient races bloodline and even his soul accompanied his self-destruction. From this, it could be seen how terrifying the power of the explosion was. Even an ordinary great emperor wouldn't be able to escape unscathed. Boom! Everything within 1,000 miles was shrouded in dust. The environment and climate of the entire mini-domain were affected. This forest was similar to the 8 desolate mountain, and its living space was about the same as the 13 countries of Cloud. The strongest expert in this zone was only a great Origin Core Realm sovereign lord. The terrifying aura of this self-destruction made the hearts of the sovereigns in this region jump. The dust that shrouded thousands of li did not disperse for a long time. Zhao Feng, in the core of the explosion, in the ravine that had been flattened, came a voice that made one's heart tremble. That voice was low, hoarse, and extremely cold, as if it came from the depths of hell. They saw. A figure of death wearing a dark golden crown stood in place. His loose black robe fluttered in the wind. The Emperor of Death stood where he was, and he seemed completely unharmed. However, his expression was extremely gloomy, and his pitch-black and boundless eyes constricted unsteadily. Within his field of vision. Apart from the Emperor of Death and a few death guards, even their corpses were turned into ashes. There seemed to be an invisible force field around the Emperor of Death. Even the ground beneath his feet didn't leave any marks. Such terrifying strength was enough to shock some of the great emperors of the spirit realm's sacred land. Bai Lin. The Emperor of Death's expression changed as he suddenly thought of something. If the white-eyed girl was within a few hundred miles, she would definitely die. She did not have the strength and survivability of a death guard. The death of his third disciple, Wen Luoan, brought great humiliation to the Emperor of Death. He had watched as his disciple, whom he had nurtured for many years, self-destructed right before his eyes, but he was unable to stop it in time. What kind of mockery and humiliation was that? All of this was orchestrated by Zhao Feng. However, if the white-eyed girl with the Eye of Destiny also died in the explosion, the losses would be severe. Thinking of this, the Emperor of Death groaned as his complexion became even worse. Even though the self-detonation did not cause him any direct damage, he still suffered a certain amount of backlash from forcefully activating a secret art to defend himself despite his weakened body. This was undoubtedly one disaster after another for the Emperor of Death, who needed to rest. Bai Lin. The Emperor of Death forcefully circulated his divine sense to cover a few thousand miles. Moss. Master. A timid voice came from the distant sky. Raising his head, he saw the white-eyed little girl drifting down with a somewhat pale complexion and a lingering fear. It's good that you're still alive. The Emperor of Death couldn't help but let out a long breath. The white-eyed little girl was indeed worthy of having the Eye of Destiny. She had a sharp sense of danger. Before Wen Luoan self-detonated, the white-eyed little girl had gone out to play. Luck was also a part of fate. For someone with the Eye of Destiny, the white-eyed little girl even had the ability to grasp fate. Zhao Feng. I'm afraid this is your true goal. The Emperor of Death's pitch-black eyes gazed in the direction of the pirate's sacred land. The corner of his mouth curled into a cold smile. As long as the Eye of Destiny was on his side, the Emperor of Death had a high chance of winning. Third Senior Martial Brother. I'll take revenge for you. A rare look of hatred appeared in the white-eyed little girl's eyes. The memories of Senior Martial Brother Wen with her seemed to flash in her mind. The image of the warm youth who always smiled and took care of her couldn't be erased from her mind. A serious expression started to appear on the white-eyed little girl's face. Bai Lin, how's your prediction going? The Emperor of Death asked. The girl with the Eye of Destiny had always been nonchalant, and it was rare for her to be serious. There are more and more clues and information. I'll definitely be able to find his whereabouts. The white-eyed little girl bit her lips as she held her brush. As Zhao Feng escaped and fought with the Death Spirit Lord, more and more information was revealed. In the limitless ocean, on the other side, whoosh. The Ghost Corpse's ship flew at a high speed in a certain direction. Within the captain's room, unfortunately, Zhao Feng revealed a regretful expression as he sat down. The instant after when Luoan self-detonated, Zhao Feng also saw a blurry image through the dark heart seal. The Emperor of Death's strength was unimaginable. Furthermore, the white-eyed little girl's aura wasn't within the range of the self-detonation. However, when Luoan's self-detonation was Zhao Feng's first true counterattack after facing the pursuit of death. In the past, when Zhao Feng faced the pursuit of death, he would either run or fight with his life on the line. However, this time, not only did Zhao Feng injure one of the Emperor of Death's right-hand men, he even counterattacked the Emperor of Death. Skeletal Division Leader, changed the route slightly. Zhao Feng suddenly said. The owner of the Eye of Destiny gave him a warning. He couldn't go straight toward the Sky's Sacred Qin Palace. Next, Zhao Feng told the Skeletal Division Leader to change the route randomly. The destination did not change, but the route changed irregularly. Zhao Feng made this decision based on his intuition. Master, according to the new route, the journey will be longer. It will take another year to reach the Sky's Sacred Qin Palace. The Skeletal Division Leader said. That's it. Zhao Feng nodded his head. He would focus on cultivating for the next year. Zhao Feng closed his eyes and entered seclusion. At this moment, apart from the amount of true yuan, Zhao Feng was stronger than normal Void God Realm kings. In order to accumulate true yuan faster, Zhao Feng organized some of the spoils of war in his ancient metal ring. In reality, ever since the fortune in the Heaven's Legacy secret realm, Zhao Feng had used up all of his resources. The remaining resources and precious materials he had were all plundered later on. However, at this level, the resources that could push Zhao Feng's cultivation became less and less. 2 months passed. Zhao Feng drank the remaining Dragon Flame wine and Lightning Cloud wine, but the effects weren't obvious. After all, Zhao Feng's Scarlet Destruction True Yuan had reached the level of a king, and it was slightly stronger than normal Void God realms. There's still half a cup of Illusion God wine left. A purple crystal cup appeared in Zhao Feng's hand. Gulu. Zhao Feng drank the last half a cup of Illusion God wine. After several months of killing, Zhao Feng's intent had completely stabilized, and it had even improved. After drinking the Illusion God wine, a strong drunkenness covered Zhao Feng's soul consciousness. In essence, the power of the Illusion God wine was absorbed by the soul, and the drunkenness directly affected his soul consciousness. Soon, Zhao Feng's consciousness entered a profound state of emptiness. In just a few breaths, Zhao Feng's mental energy intent seemed to have increased, and his comprehension of heaven and earth increased. Of course, this increase in intent was only temporary. Zhao Feng used his time and entered a state of comprehension. 10 breaths later, that kind of drunkenness, from the peak, slowly receded. Half the time it took to make tea later, Zhao Feng's consciousness returned to normal, and he shook his head and sighed. At his current level, the effect of the Illusion God wine wasn't as strong as the first time. The comprehension just then only increased Zhao Feng's mental energy intent slightly. However, when one's mental energy intent was approaching the peak of the Void God realm, even the slightest increase was hard to come by. My comprehension of heaven and earth intent should surpass most kings. Zhao Feng nodded his head slightly. Only emperors at the peak of the Void God realm would be able to suppress Zhao Feng in terms of intent. After increasing his intent, Zhao Feng's cultivation speed would also increase. In the next 1 or 2 months, Zhao Feng's cultivation continued to increase. Unfortunately, the resources that he had on hand that could help him advance in his cultivation were getting fewer and fewer. In the 4th month after leaving the Pirate King's sacred land, Zhao Feng's true yuan storage had reached the limits of the peak origin core realm. In the following period of time, Zhao Feng could break through to the Void God realm at any time. Although becoming a king won't increase my strength by leaps and bounds, my foundation will increase greatly. I won't be a burden anymore. Zhao Feng murmured. The strength of his true yuan, the level of his soul, and his mental energy intent had all reached the Void God realm. The only thing he lacked was the amount of true yuan. Previously, when fighting with kings, Zhao Feng had to end the battle quickly. If he fought for too long, he would run out of energy. Within the captain's room, Zhao Feng was only half a layer away from reaching the Void God realm. As for the precious resources he had on hand, he had basically used up all of them. On this day, Zhao Feng closed his eyes as his consciousness entered the whirlpool in the center of his purple soul ocean. Shwa! Zhao Feng stepped into this ancient land once again. By now, the ancient dream realm's rejection of Zhao Feng was becoming smaller and smaller. This was especially so after merging with the mystic ice-scaled race's bloodline, which was ranked on the 10,000 ancient races. This meant that Zhao Feng would be able to use more battle power in the ancient dream realm. Ta! Ta! Zhao Feng quickly walked across the grass toward the forest in front of him. A while later, Tseng. Zhao Feng jumped into the forest. There were many native beasts of the ancient dream realm in the forest, and danger was everywhere. Zhao Feng opened his god's spiritual eye and avoided some of the larger beasts. At the current stage, the meat of beasts and spring water weren't of much help to Zhao Feng. He needed to find new resources. After entering the forest, Zhao Feng slowed down. In this period of time, Zhao Feng met a poisonous snake and a leopard, but he managed to deal with them without any mishaps. After searching for half a day, Zhao Feng's wish came true and he saw a huge tree with fruits growing on it. Maybe it was because of the weather, but the other trees didn't have any fruits, and even the leaves were slightly yellow. Only this huge tree had an unusual aura, and there were dozens of yellow and red fruits growing on it. However, the area around the tree was deathly silent, and there was an unsettling aura. Chapter 726. Zhao Feng didn't act rashly. He held his breath and carefully inspected the environment around the tree. The aura around the tree wasn't normal. There wasn't a single insect or beast within 100 yards. It was completely silent. Zhao Feng suddenly felt a coldness, as if he was being stared at by a dangerous aura. Hisses. A long and huge shadow suddenly leaped out from the lush tree, accompanied by a gust of astral wind and the stench of blood. Zhao Feng's heart jumped. His left eye caught sight of a dark green spotted python. It was 7 or 8 yards long, and its aura was one with the nearby trees. The green spotted python's eyes were red, and it flicked its tongue. When it opened its mouth, it was even bigger than a water tank. With a gust of wind and sand, the green-spotted python's fangs instantly arrived in front of Zhao Feng. Too fast. Zhao Feng was frightened, and in a moment of desperation, he used wind lightning to retreat. However, this wasn't enough to dodge the green-spotted python's follow-up attacks. When a layer of exquisite blue scales appeared on Zhao Feng's body and covered his entire body like dragon scales. Fuck off. Zhao Feng circulated the mystic ice-scaled race's physique bloodline, and an icy blue spear as thick as a tree trunk appeared in his hand, which he stabbed into the green-spotted python's mouth. Shwa! Ping! The ice imperial spear only stabbed into the python's mouth by half an inch, and a surge of power pushed Zhao Feng back several yards. Tsang! The wings of wind and lightning behind Zhao Feng's back flashed as he quickly retreated and used the nearby trees to dodge. At the same time, his god's spiritual eye couldn't help but inspect the green-spotted python. Damn! This python probably isn't a wild beast. It already has intelligence and can absorb the essence of heaven and earth. It's a Yao spirit. Zhao Feng took in a cold breath. What kind of environment was the ancient dream realm? How could beings that could absorb the essence of heaven and earth and reach a cultivation level be compared to those in the real world? You should know. The wisp of aura here could cleanse even those at the true Lord rank, and the river water and the meat of the beasts here could strengthen the bodies of those at the great origin core realm. The strength of the green-spotted python was evident from the short exchange just now. This fellow's physical strength is powerful, and his blood chi is vigorous. My strength is limited in the ancient dream realm. Zhao Feng's eyes flickered. In a head-on melee, Zhao Feng was still no match for it. Hiss, hiss, the python's gaping mouth was covered in a layer of frost as it hissed and hissed, glaring coldly at Zhao Feng. Fortunately, this giant python doesn't know any battle skills or secret arts. Zhao Feng let out a sigh of relief. His figure retreated a certain distance, and a dark green ancient bow appeared in his hand. Zhao Feng was just about to activate the sky-locking bow. Right at this moment, a sharp cry came from the sky. Zhao Feng could feel a powerful aura of an atavistic beast lunging at him, which was slightly familiar to him. So, waves of wind surged as an ancient demonic bird that was 5 or 6 feet long swooped down, heading straight for a ripe red fruit on the towering tree. Sii. The green-spotted python hissed in anger as it threw Zhao Feng aside and leapt toward the ancient Yao bird. It's this Yao bird. Zhao Feng revealed a weird expression. In the early days, when he had just started walking in the ancient dream realm, he had encountered this ancient demonic bird. At that time, Zhao Feng was scared by this Yao bird. At that time, he was barely able to walk in the ancient dream realm. It wasn't like now. Zhao Feng's bloodline, body, and even soul were countless times stronger than before. Furthermore, as the bloodline of the mystic ice-scaled race merged into his body, the pressure Zhao Feng felt in the ancient dream realm decreased. In the blink of an eye. Before the python arrived, the ancient demon bird had already picked up a red fruit with its beak and swallowed it quickly. Sii. Boom. At this moment, the green-spotted python leapt over and the leaves swayed. A hint of cunning flashed in the ancient Yao bird's eyes. It flapped its wings and reached the top of the tree. It wasn't a match for the green-spotted python in a head-on fight. However, in terms of agility and mobility, it was far better than the ancient Yao bird. Just like that, the azure-spotted python fought the ancient demonic bird in the air above the tree. Overall, the green-spotted python was at a disadvantage. The ancient Yao bird could move freely. However, it was difficult for it to steal 1 or 2 more fruits. It was only able to succeed because Zhao Feng was distracted by the green-spotted python. Good chance. Zhao Feng's eyes lit up when he saw the green-spotted python on the tree. Lightning surrounded his body and his speed increased. He landed on one of the branches of the towering tree Yao in a few leaps. Quick! Zhao Feng's figure moved behind the python and he quickly picked 2 fruits. One was half-ripe azure and the other was red. If his guess was correct, this fruit could barely be considered a spiritual fruit in the ancient dream realm. Zhao Feng's actions attracted the attention of the green-spotted python and the ancient Yao bird. The green-spotted python was enraged and it swept towards Zhao Feng behind it. Zhao Feng put away the 2 spiritual fruits, and his body became covered in scales and a blue ice armor. This way, he had 2 layers of defense. Pine. Zhao Feng tried his best to dodge and let the python sweep his back. His body shook and he was sent flying. Hee hee. Zhao Feng used the force to fly back almost 10 yards. There was a small crack on the blue ice armor, but it wasn't anything serious. One had to know that Zhao Feng's 2 layers of defense could block a peak-tier king's attack in the real world. On the other hand, a layer of frost appeared on the tail of the green-spotted python, and its movements became stiff. Tsang. So, Zhao Feng didn't care about the battle between the 2 Yao spirits and flew out of the forest to the grass. Right at this moment the screech of the ancient Yao bird came from behind, and a surge of ancient Yao spirit aura leapt toward Zhao Feng. The ancient Yao bird chased after Zhao Feng. Maybe. It thought that Zhao Feng was easy to bully and wanted to steal his spiritual fruits. Humph, I'll deal with you next time, you bastard. Zhao Feng harumphed coldly. He had already reached his goal, and he didn't want anything else to happen. Shwa! Zhao Feng's figure vanished from where he stood. In the next moment, the ancient demon bird brought with it a whistling gust of wind as it flew over, but it pounced on empty air. The ancient Yao bird circled around and was dazed. It was obvious that it couldn't understand why this human would disappear into thin air. Ghost ship, captain's room, hee hee. Zhao Feng laughed lightly as he looked at the two fruits in his hand. The two fruits, one green and one red, radiated an ancient aura, and the heaven-earth yuan qi in the outside world started to tremble. Spiritual fruits contain the essence of heaven, earth, sun, and moon. However, the environment of the spiritual fruits in the ancient dream realm was much better than the real world. It was even better than the demigod Forgotten Garden. In order to prevent their auras from leaking, Zhao Feng released a surge of magnificent power to seal the auras of the two spiritual fruits. Meow meow. The little thieving cat sat on his shoulder and looked at the two fruits with a greedy expression. Zhao Feng scanned with his divine sense and found that the child demigod was in seclusion, saving him some trouble. Seeing this, he took out an azure fruit and gave it to the little thieving cat. Meow. The little thieving cat ate it in one gulp, and in just a short while, it burped and returned to the ancient metal ring to sleep. Zhao Feng clicked his tongue. From the looks of it, the heaven-earth yuan qi contained within the azure fruit couldn't be underestimated. He observed for a while and saw that the little thieving cat didn't have any negative reactions. Zhao Feng didn't hesitate anymore. He opened his mouth and swallowed the red fruit in a few bites. The red fruit didn't melt as expected after entering his body. It seemed like the flesh and fruits of the ancient dream realm were harder to digest than the ones in the real world. However, this was beneficial for Zhao Feng. The energy contained within the red fruit wouldn't be released in one go, so it could be absorbed as much as possible. A few breaths later, wisps of heaven-earth yuan qi with an ancient aura flowed through Zhao Feng's body. The heaven-earth yuan qi contained within this spiritual fruit is extremely strong. Zhao Feng clucked his tongue. Luckily, his state of existence and his 10,000 ancient races bloodline were extremely strong, which was why he was able to absorb the heaven-earth yuan qi within the spiritual fruit. Time slowly passed by. On the same day, the aura of the crystal-like core in Zhao Feng's body started to expand. Just a few wisps of the heaven-earth yuan qi from this spiritual fruit is comparable to a peak spiritual fruit in the outside world. Zhao Feng was overjoyed. Under the influence of the ancient dream realm spiritual fruit, Zhao Feng's body and organs were cleansed. The true yuan contained within the crystal core was not only increasing, but its aura was also becoming more condensed. At the same time, under Zhao Feng's powerful king intent, the heaven-earth yuan qi within several thousand miles surged towards him. Regretfully, the heaven-earth yuan qi within the limitless ocean was extremely thin. Only the inner regions were truly suitable for cultivation and survival. In order to avoid the pursuit of death and leave behind clues, Zhao Feng wouldn't stay in any inner regions or void ocean spiritual palaces. 10 days later, Zhao Feng had completely absorbed the heaven-earth yuan qi within the spiritual fruit, and he had used up a large amount of resources. Luckily, the crystal core within his dantian had reached a new level. From the looks of it, the crystal core was only the size of a date, and its size hadn't changed much. However, there was another world within it. Zhao Feng's divine sense seeped in and sensed a vast dimension of true yuan. Inside the crystal core, the red true essence was like a massive lake. There was a vast amount of it, and it surged endlessly, giving off an inexhaustible sense of fullness. This is the void God realm. The soul is perfectly compatible with heaven and earth, and the true yuan is like an ocean that can't be used up. The true yuan within Zhao Feng's crystal core was like a surging lake. Wherever he was, there was an endless supply of heaven and earth yuan qi. From this moment onwards, even Zhao Feng's true yuan cultivation had reached the level of a void god realm king. His aura started to slowly circulate, and a scarlet-colored light surrounded him. He was like a ball of divine light, and his aura merged with heaven and earth. Void God Realm King. The skeletal division leader and the child demigod were both stunned by the king aura. Chapter 727. From this moment onwards, Zhao Feng had completely stepped into the level of a void god realm king. If he didn't purposely conceal his aura, his intent and true yuan would be able to connect with heaven and earth. This was equivalent to fusing with the world at all times. This was also why some void god realm kings were enveloped in the magnificent power of heaven and earth, and their every action was filled with power. Congratulations, Master. The skeletal division leader and the child demigod both congratulated. Both of them had a complicated look on their faces. The only difference was that the skeletal division leader's respect came from the bottom of its heart. It had personally witnessed Zhao Feng's miraculous growth. In the Azure Flower continent, void god realm kings were legendary existences that only existed in ancient legends. Even the Scarlet Moon Patriarch of the past had only touched the void god realm. In other words, with Zhao Feng's current cultivation, he was an unrivaled sovereign in the Azure Flower continent, let alone his true strength. The child demigod was stunned by Zhao Feng's rapid growth, and he felt even more wary and pressure. Little Kun Yun, your cultivation isn't far from the void god realm. Zhao Feng's gaze flashed past the child demigod. The child demigod relied on resources to recover his strength. If it weren't for the restriction of resources, the child demigod might have broken through to the void god realm even faster than Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng's gaze pressured the child demigod. At this moment, Zhao Feng's soul and true yuan were both stronger than the child demigod's. The only thing he was lacking was his intent. After all, the child demigod was a demigod before he went back to the past. Even if he hadn't fully recovered, his intent could still suppress emperors. Inside the captain's room, Zhao Feng closed his eyes and consolidated his cultivation. The child demigod returned to the ancient metal ring with a slightly depressed expression. It wasn't hard for him to find that Zhao Feng had used some top-tier resources to break through this time. Due to the lack of resources, the child demigod needed at least half a year to break through. Out of instinct and caution, Zhao Feng controlled the child demigod's cultivation to be on par with his. This was the only way he could control the other party while maximizing his usefulness. In the next few days, Zhao Feng went into seclusion to consolidate his cultivation. Although he had broken through with the help of external forces, his realm and soul had already reached virtual god level. After becoming a king, Zhao Feng's strength didn't skyrocket. After all, only the quantity of his true essence had greatly increased. The strength of his true essence had only improved slightly. This was within his expectations. However, Zhao Feng's strength and foundation had greatly increased. Zhao Feng was confident that with his current strength, he was invincible against anyone below the emperor realm. With his eye bloodline, he might even be able to challenge an emperor. If he were to encounter the Yin-Yang King again, Zhao Feng wouldn't be afraid even if it was a one-on-one battle. 10 days later, Zhao Feng's focus shifted to the absorption of the deity Tribulation Lightning and the Wind Lightning inheritance. These were all things that could directly increase his strength. As long as Zhao Feng had free time, he wouldn't stop absorbing the deity Tribulation Lightning. Within the dimension of his left eye, the deity Tribulation head floated silently and leaned against the edge of the purple soul sea. Zhao Feng used the soul version of the lightning transformation divine technique to absorb the power of the god Tribulation head. Boom! The sound of 10,000 bolts of lightning boomed in his soul and radiated an immortal and undying aura of God Tribulation Lightning. Right now, Zhao Feng's soul intent had a strong resistance against the particles of God Tribulation Lightning. After absorbing a few wisps of God tribulation lightning, his soul was also cleansed. In the process of absorbing the God tribulation lightning, Zhao Feng's soul and intent would become stronger. The effect was unexpectedly good. As time passed, Zhao Feng would be able to absorb a wisp of God tribulation lightning every few days. On top of that, he used the 10,000 divine thoughts technique to multitask. Absorbing the God tribulation lightning to refine his soul intent was part of his daily cultivation. Zhao Feng's other intents focused on the wind lightning inheritance and the wings of wind and lightning. In the blink of an eye, 3 to 4 months had passed. Within the captain's room, the aura that Zhao Feng occasionally gave off became more and more terrifying. In the purple soul sea, Zhao Feng absorbed 70 to 80 wisps of God tribulation lightning, which was 20 to 30 times more than when he was at the pirate sacred land. A total of 78 wisps of God tribulation lightning. 78 wisps of God tribulation lightning appeared in Zhao Feng's purple soul sea. The divine tribulation lightning was shapeless and immaterial, and it possessed an eternal and domineering aura that looked down upon all things in the world. He observed closely. There were 78 ancient symbols of lightning in the purple soul sea. They gave off a faint dark light and were connected to each other like electric circuits. When Zhao Feng circulated the 10,000 divine thoughts technique, and his soul power affected 70 to 80 wisps of God tribulation lightning. Some God tribulation lightning particles flowed and refined his soul. At the same time, Zhao Feng started to comprehend the laws of the God tribulation lightning and merged them into the crystal core in his dantian. The surging true yuan dimension within the crystal core started to contain the aura of God tribulation lightning that countered all lightning. Unknowingly, Zhao Feng's comprehension of the scarlet destruction wind lightning had almost reached 100% completion. The scarlet destruction wind lightning was like a burning cloud, and it had a faint golden glow on its surface. After the scarlet destruction wind lightning comes the golden wind lightning. But my power of wind lightning has already surpassed the wind lightning emperor's expectations. Zhao Feng murmured in his heart. The aura of the ancient dream realm and the laws of the God tribulation lightning had merged into his power, making it exceed the limits of normal lightning. Master. The child demigod's voice suddenly sounded. Zhao Feng opened his eyes and looked at the restless child next to him. It's like this. There are a few strong pirate forces nearby, and I want to take some resources from them. The child demigod said. Zhao Feng scanned the area with his divine sense and found that there were indeed a few pirate forces. Each of them had at least a half-step king. Master, I'll finish this quickly and won't delay the journey. The child demigod begged. Zhao Feng understood that the child demigod needed resources to recover his cultivation. Go. Zhao Feng waved his hand and didn't stop him. He hadn't provided any resources to the child demigod recently, but he couldn't stop him from obtaining resources. Whoosh! The ghost ship didn't slow down at all and continued to fly forward. The only difference was that the child demigod had left the ghost ship. Next, Zhao Feng witnessed a massacre. The pirates didn't even have the ability to fight back against the child demigod. Boom! The golden-skinned toddler, who was 3 or 4 years old, punched out and shattered the entire pirate ship. In just the time it took to make a cup of tea. The child demigod had destroyed several pirate forces all by himself, and Zhao Feng had no idea what was going on. Although the grade of these resources isn't high, it's better than nothing. The child demigod organized the spoils of war. Whoosh! Then, he turned into a ray of golden light and quickly caught up to the ghost ship. The entire process didn't waste any time at all. After this, Zhao Feng didn't stop the child demigod from doing this. However, he warned the child demigod not to be within 10,000 miles of him. In reality, Zhao Feng also lacked resources for his own cultivation. After breaking through to the void god realm, the resources he needed were even more stringent. The lifespan of Void God Realm Kings was several thousand years, and every small breakthrough required a large amount of resources. On this day, Zhao Feng entered the ancient dream realm once more. Just like last time, Zhao Feng entered the forest. His target was the spiritual fruits on the tree in the depths of the forest. When Zhao Feng came this time, the number of spiritual fruits on the tree had decreased by a few more. There were more wounds on the python's body. It wasn't hard to guess that there were still some beasts and Yao spirits in the ancient dream realm. Zhao Feng opened his god's spiritual eye and inspected the surroundings. As expected, Zhao Feng saw the ancient Yao bird. There were some scars on its feathers, indicating that its injuries hadn't healed yet. If this continues, there will be fewer and fewer spiritual fruits on the tree. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed as he started to think. He could kill 2 Yao spirits, which wasn't hard for the current Zhao Feng. However, 2/3 of the fruits on the tree were still green and far from ripening. Some of the green fruits didn't even reach 1/10 of their full potential. The one Zhao Feng had eaten last time was a 70% ripe spiritual fruit, but it didn't have the best effect. Soon, a thought appeared in Zhao Feng's mind. Fine, I'll choose you too. Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye scanned over the snake and ancient Yao bird. The 2 primordial demon spirits shivered inexplicably in their hearts. Zhao Feng's first target was the ancient Yao bird. This was because the ancient Yao bird was very agile and had a large range of vision. Zhao Feng was worried that the bird would sneak attack him while he was dealing with the snake. Tsang. Zhao Feng silently leapt to the edge of the forest, his left eye still locked onto the ancient Yao bird. The ancient Yao bird's heart shook as it felt a sense of danger. It suddenly felt Zhao Feng's enmity and screeched as it leapt over. Scarlet Destruction Eye Flame. A scarlet-colored light flashed in Zhao Feng's left eye, and there was a hint of gold within it. Boom! The ancient Yao bird was caught off guard by a ball of half-transparent scarlet lightning before it even arrived. The Scarlet Destruction Eye Flame contained the essence of the Scarlet Destruction Wind Lightning and the intent of the God Tribulation Lightning. The ancient Yao bird's eyes were filled with stars. Just a single blow from the eye flame had severely burned the ancient demonic bird's soul. Its wings were covered in scorch marks. Dark Heart Seal. Zhao Feng took advantage of the moment the bird's mind was in pain and confusion to use a Forbidden Soul Eye bloodline technique. In the air, the ancient Yao bird struggled for a bit, then stopped resisting and obediently landed in front of Zhao Feng. Success. Zhao Feng smiled faintly. Next. He brought the ancient demon bird with him as he approached the green-spotted python near the towering tree. Sii. The green-spotted python couldn't help but reveal wariness as it saw Zhao Feng and the ancient bird approach. Go. Zhao Feng ordered the ancient Yao bird to go over and deal with the snake. From afar, he launched a sneak attack with a psychic spike to injure the python's mind and successfully cast the Dark Heart Seal. Just like that. The 2 rulers within the forest were successfully enslaved by Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng ordered the Yao bird and the snake to guard the tree and not let any living beings get close. 28 in total. Zhao Feng counted and found that there weren't many spiritual fruits left. 2/3 of them were unripe, and there were 7 or 8 that were half-ripe. Zhao Feng picked 2 of the spiritual fruits that were 80 to 90% ripe. Zhao Feng then started to search the ancient Yao bird's soul. He wanted to learn more about the ancient dream realm through this bird. Chapter 728. A while later. Zhao Feng withdrew the soul-searching art from his left eye and let out a breath. As he looked at this ancient land, his gaze became somewhat different. There wasn't much information about the ancient dream realm in the bird's memories. It seemed to be the lowest tier of beasts in the ancient dream realm, and it had only just reached this level. The ancient demon bird would only stay in this area for its entire life. The areas further away were even more dangerous. Some of the powerful auras made it not dare to get close. There were indeed some powerful beasts in the ancient dream realm. In the bird's memories, it had met a humanoid race 2 or 3 times. However, the auras of those races were so oppressive that the ancient demonic bird couldn't breathe, even though it was still far away. From the memories, Zhao Feng could feel how terrifying those races were. This ancient dream realm isn't simple. I need to be careful and not advance recklessly. Zhao Feng took a deep breath. At the same time, he was slightly confused. Why was he able to enter this dimension with his left eye? What was the relationship between the ancient dream realm and the owner of the god's spiritual eye? Of course. The most puzzling thing about the ancient dream realm was that Zhao Feng was in sync with this place. It was obvious that Zhao Feng didn't just enter with his consciousness. In the ancient dream realm, Zhao Feng's body was made of flesh and blood, so he could use weapons, including the ancient metal ring. However, Zhao Feng hadn't tried to bring other beings in yet, so he had to find out if it was possible. At the moment, Zhao Feng didn't want to reveal the secret of the ancient dream realm. You guys stay here and guard this place. Before leaving, Zhao Feng gave them some instructions. Shua. In the real world, 2 fruits appeared in Zhao Feng's hands. Without hesitation, he ate a 90% ripe spiritual fruit first. The spiritual fruits in the ancient dream realm were many times more effective than the top spiritual fruits in the real world. However, after reaching the void god realm, one needed to accumulate a large amount of resources to increase their cultivation. Zhao Feng estimated that even if he ate all 28 fruits, he would only be able to push his cultivation to the intermediate empty god realm. And this was under the assumption of maximizing the effects of absorbing the spirit fruit. In the captain's cabin, Zhao Feng revolved his true essence and absorbed the primordial heaven and earth essence qi from the spirit fruit. In the true yuan space of the core, the scarlet true yuan surged violently. After absorbing the energy of the spirit fruit, it boiled like a burning scarlet sea. When one reached the virtual god realm, one's true vitality was almost inexhaustible under normal circumstances. However, in the process of reaching the void god realm, the expansion of his true yuan space and the improvement of his soul intent were still progressing. It would be a long road. Even if Zhao Feng could enter the ancient dream realm, he would only be able to shorten the entire path. 1 month later, Zhao Feng had absorbed 2 spiritual fruits, and his true vitality cultivation had been further consolidated. However, he was still far from reaching the middle stage of the empty god realm. Of course. Within the soul sea, absorbing the power of God tribulation lightning was like a daily task. Using the power of God tribulation lightning to refine it, Zhao Feng's soul became stronger day by day and was slowly approaching the level of an emperor. Apart from that, Zhao Feng didn't stop studying the wings of wind and lightning. Lightning wings flying technique. Lightning wings wind flash. Wind lightning wings slash. A part of Zhao Feng's consciousness had been studying the lightning wings secret technique and the Death Spirit Lord. After the battle with the Pirate Emperor and the Death Spirit Lord, Zhao Feng had gained a lot of insight into the lightning wings secret technique. Zhao Feng's next goal was the highest level of the lightning wings wind flash, lightning wings spatial flash. In essence, lightning wings spatial flash was the combination of the lightning wings wind flash and the lightning wings flying technique. Under the foundation of the extreme speed of the wind and thunder ultimacy, he used the thunder wings escape space secret skill to perform a magical leap across space. Once one comprehended the lightning wings spatial flash, one could travel 1,000 miles in an instant. However, in order to comprehend the lightning wings spatial flash, one had to be able to use the lightning wings flying technique and the lightning wings wind flash well. Zhao Feng was trying to get closer to this goal. Time slowly passed by. Zhao Feng started cultivating on the ghost ship, and he didn't face the pursuit of the death god. This was within Zhao Feng's expectations. Firstly, the Emperor of Death's subordinates had all been killed by Zhao Feng. Secondly, Zhao Feng had destroyed the wisp of Eye of Death intent, making it hard to sense it. After becoming a king, Zhao Feng merged more God Tribulation lightning into it, and his 10,000 divine thoughts technique was approaching the level of turning one thought into 1,000. Logically speaking, Zhao Feng should have been able to completely destroy the intent of the Eye of Death. However, Zhao Feng didn't do this. He purposely left behind the last wisp of Eye of Death intent and sealed it completely. Unless the Emperor of Death was right next to him, he wouldn't be able to sense it. Emperor of Death, I've been on the run for many years because of you. I'll definitely pay you back several times over. A thought appeared in Zhao Feng's heart. He had been chased for many years and lived on the border of life and death. If it was anyone else, they would have a hard time releasing their pent-up anger. 9 months after leaving the pirate's sacred land, Wang, a new king's aura rose within the ghost ship. Void God Realm. I've finally reached it. The child demigod's body glowed with a golden light, as if he was a golden Buddha statue. Just the aura radiating from his sacred body made the late-stage Great Origin Core Realm Skeletal Division leader feel suffocated. This demigod Kun Yun's golden Kun sacred body has basically reached the 5th level. Zhao Feng woke up from seclusion. He also had the inheritance of the golden Kun sacred body and the even higher golden Kun sacred lightning body. Once the golden Kun sacred body reached the late stages of the 5th level, he would be unrivaled at the Void God Realm, and it wouldn't be hard for his body to fight against an emperor. His cultivation had broken through to the Void God Realm, and his golden Kun sacred body had basically reached the 5th level. Zhao Feng couldn't estimate the battle power of the child demigod. However, there was one thing he was sure of. The child demigod was definitely unrivaled against anyone below emperors, but whether or not he could fight against an emperor remained to be seen. Master, if we team up now, we don't need to be afraid of anyone as long as they aren't peak emperors. The child demigod's voice sounded. Indeed. Now that Zhao Feng and the child demigod had both broken through to the Void God Realm, they were basically unrivaled against anyone below emperors. If the two of them teamed up, they wouldn't need to be afraid of normal emperors. This isn't enough to deal with the Emperor of Death. Zhao Feng shook his head faintly. He wasn't arrogant. Void God Realm emperors were also split into different ranks. The difference between normal emperors and peak emperors was huge. Furthermore, the Emperor of Death was an unrivaled existence amongst emperors, and his battle power was probably close to a mystic light realm sacred lord. Master, I need resources right now. As long as I have enough resources, I can recover my strength even further. The child demigod said bitterly. He was a demigod and could revive from a drop of blood. As long as he had enough resources, he would be able to quickly recover his strength. Zhao Feng remained expressionless. He didn't want to give the child demigod any more resources from the ancient dream realm. He needed to limit the amount of resources he gave the child demigod. If he didn't do so, he might become even more of a threat than the Emperor of Death. I don't have enough resources right now. Zhao Feng shook his head and said. Meow meow. The little thieving cat popped its head out and waved its paws, as if it was also complaining. Master, the cursed ghost corpses have all reached the peak small origin core realm, but we need large amounts of resources to increase their strength. The skeletal division leader said bitterly. Within the ghost ship, a human, a child, a cat, and a skeleton fell into a weird atmosphere. In just one night, the ghost ship was facing a shortage of resources. Not only was it a shortage of resources, Zhao Feng didn't even have much primal crystal stones left. He still needed to leave some primal crystal stones to maintain the ship's flight. The source of this crisis was the Heaven's Legacy Race's city. However, even if Zhao Feng had a second choice, he would still do the same thing. Master, I have a suggestion. The child demigod's eyes flashed as he suddenly said. Suggestion? Don't tell me we're going to rob some island or two-star sect. Zhao Feng rolled his eyes. Judging from the current resource crisis, even if they looted a few one-star sects and wiped out dozens of pirate forces, it would be of no use. There was only one reason. Zhao Feng and the child demigod's level was too high, so normal resources were useless against them. Master, I just killed a pirate group and received some information. There are several two-star sects in the Red Dragon Island zone ahead, and they're fighting. The child demigod licked his lips and had an evil expression that seemed to say, you know what I mean. When this expression fell on the face of a young child, it was a little strange and added a bit of gloominess. Meow meow. The little thieving cat waved its paws in agreement. It had been so poor recently that it didn't even have food to eat. The skeletal division leader also had an excited and expectant expression. A two-star battlefield? Zhao Feng's heart shook. A battle between two-star sects would definitely be huge, and it would involve a lot of resources. If it was in the past, Zhao Feng definitely wouldn't be able to avoid a two-star battlefield at all costs. But now, the enormous two-star battlefield was a good place to take advantage of the situation. Let me take a look at the map. With a thought, a screen of ice and water appeared in front of Zhao Feng. The outline of a nearby island zone appeared on the screen. The Red Dragon Island zone that the child demigod mentioned was about 1/5 of the way to the island zone. Zhao Feng continued to look down the map. His gaze passed by another 5 or 6 island zones before Zhao Feng saw the Gone Sacred Island zone. The Sky Sacred Qin Palace isn't far. Zhao Feng's heart moved. The Sky Sacred Qin Palace was in one of the Gone Sacred Island zone zones. Before he reached the Sky Sacred Qin Palace, it was not a bad choice to get some resources and wealth. Let's go. Zhao Feng himself was impatient, but he didn't know if it was because of the Sky Sacred Qin Palace or because they were getting closer. So, the ghost ship sped up, and it seemed to become excited as it sped toward the Red Dragon Island zone. At the same time, within the Red Dragon Island zone, an island zone that was twice the size of the Azure Flower continent, rumble. Boom! Boom! Magnificent powers clashed in the sky, and heaven and earth seemed to shake. The mountains and rivers of the island zone started to crumble, and dust billowed. Below were some origin core realms. There was a total of 3 two-star sects that were fighting intensely. There were 4 or 5 Void God Realm kings involved in this battle. They didn't know that 4 uninvited guests were quickly approaching. Chapter 729. This two-star battlefield was a resourceful island within the Red Dragon Island zone. In terms of population and resources, this island was twice as big as the Azure Flower continent. The leaders of this war were 3 two-star sects and 18 one-star sects that were involved in it. The Red Dragon Island zone was similar to the Tianlu Island zone. One of the 3 two-star sects was a 2.5-star sect called the Sky Star Demonic Sect, and it was fighting against the other 2 two-star sections. At this moment, in the air above the battlefield, the Sky Star Demonic Sect had 2 Void God Realm kings. One of them was a majestic male wearing a black gold robe. A dark star symbol flashed on his forehead, and he was surrounded by a black force field. The black golden-robed male fought against 2 Void God Realms by himself, and he was still able to do it easily. This Sky Star Demonic Lord's cultivation has already reached the late-stage God Void Realm. His strength isn't far from the peak-tier king level. The 2 kings were a white-haired elder and a woman in white, and they were in a tough battle. The Sky Star Demonic Lord was the sovereign of the Sky Star Demonic Sect, and he was one of the strongest Void God Realm experts in the Red Dragon Island zone. Demonic Star Domain. The Sky Star Demonic Lord waved his sleeves, and the sky was covered by a domain of darkness. Boom! Whoosh! Dark stars appeared in the space domain, shooting out beams of demonic starlight that suppressed the white-haired old man and the white-robed woman. Apart from that, in the sky of the realm, another beautiful woman from the Heavenly Star Demonic Sect was surrounded by a pitch-black aura. A vast demonic power pressed down on a king of the Sword Tao. Sky Flowing Sword King. The female from the Sky Demonic sect smiled, my serene force field specializes in borrowing power. Even if your attack is 30% stronger, you won't be able to do anything. In half a day, you won't be able to keep up. Perhaps it won't be that long before the sect master finishes the battle. Then let's try. The king of the sword Dao didn't move, and his sword intent was as firm as a rock. Beams of cold sword light pierced through the sky. Whoosh! The female's serene force field started to become unstable, and her expression couldn't help but change. So, the Sky-Flowing Sword King was the #1 expert in the Tao of the sword in the Red Dragon Island zone, and he was the only sword cultivator to become a king. Boom boom boom, the battle between the Origin Core realms caused mountains to crumble and the earth to crack. Gales of wind blew everywhere, and dust blew everywhere. In normal islands, those at the Origin Core realm were invincible sovereigns. However, the clash of several kings in the air caused the sovereigns' hearts to jump, and they didn't dare to get close. At the same time, the sound of something tearing through the air came from the void sea. Whoosh! A ghost ship entered the edge of the two-star battlefield. At the edge of the outer realm, there were also supremacies fighting, as well as ships transporting resources. Who are you? The arrival of the Ghost Corpse ship attracted the attention of one of the two-star sections. Meow, meow. On the Ghost Corpse ship, a silver-gray kitten stuck a large skull flag on it. Pirate ship? The experts who were fighting in this area had strange expressions on their faces. Ordinary pirate forces would run as far as they could when they saw a two-star sect. Most experts wouldn't even be able to escape when they saw a two-star battlefield. However, what happened today had broken their mindset. Not only did the ghost pirate ship not go around the two-star battlefield, it even charged in excitedly. Stop that pirate ship! A great Origin Core realm sovereign lord led a group of several dozen people, the weakest of whom was at the late-stage true lord rank, and charged toward the pirate ship. When a thick layer of Ghost Corpse flame cloud suddenly appeared on the Ghost Corpse sea ship. 100 pairs of blood-red and ferocious eyes appeared inside the Ghost Corpse sea ship, bursting with astonishing resentment power. Arg! The experts at the Origin Core realm all collapsed before they even got close. Some even had their souls destroyed. The Ghost Corpse's ship sailed straight in. This group of people was instantly turned into a puddle of blood, and their essence was absorbed by the Ghost Corpse cursed array. Meow meow. The little thieving cat and the golden-skinned child flew through the air and harvested the spoils of war. Of course. The little thieving cat and the child demigod would only take the spoils of war from Origin Core realms. Within the captain's room, Zhao Feng sat there casually and took a sip of the celestial wine from the demigod cellar. Everyone, hand over your interspatial items and I'll let you live. The child demigod roared. Meow meow. The little thieving cat waved the skull flag and cheered. The two little fellows floated in a vacuum above the Ghost Corpse flame cloud, so the Ghost Corpse cursed array didn't affect them. How dare you! A measly pirate ship dares to rob the Sky Star demonic sect. A group from the demonic sect charged over. The ones leading them were two great Origin Core realm sovereign lords, and there were 7 or 8 normal sovereigns. Such a force could easily destroy several one-star sections. However, the 100 pairs of scarlet eyes in the Ghost Corpse flame cloud caused the hearts of the devil sex experts to shatter and their souls to scatter. They still couldn't fight back. This group of people became fertilizer for the Ghost Corpse cursed array. This two-star battlefield is indeed a good place to feed. The skeletal division leader laughed coldly and said. Then, wherever the ghost ship passed, the experts from 1 and 2-star sects were scared out of their wits. However, the ghost ship was extremely fast, and the Origin Core realm experts couldn't dodge it at all. Hand over your interspatial items and I'll let you live. The child demigod roared. My lord, we'll hand them over. Several sovereigns at the Origin Core realm were scared out of their wits and knelt on the ground, handing over their interspatial items and treasures. The child demigod and the little thieving cat had sharp eyes, so these experts couldn't hide anything at all. In the end, the sovereigns that handed over their interspatial items all escaped. There were also some who resisted, but without exception, they all became fertilizer for the Ghost Corp's cursed array. At this moment in time a small commotion broke out in the battlefield. Wherever the Ghost Corp's ship passed, there would be chaos, and everyone would be in danger. Luckily, the ghost ship's goal was to steal and not to kill. As long as one handed over their interspatial items, they would be able to survive. At the start, the ghost ship only roamed around the outer edges of the battlefield. After roaming around the outer edges, the ghost ship headed toward the center of the battlefield. Where did this pirate ship come from? How dare it? The expressions of the Void God Realm Kings fighting in the sky became grim. Only to see, the ghost ship didn't differentiate between factions, righteous, or demonic. The Void God Realm Kings originally thought that the pirate ship was just striking while the iron was hot, and that it was trying to take advantage of the situation. However, from the looks of it, after roaming around the outer edges, the ghost ship headed toward the center, as if it wanted to rob the entire two-star battlefield. Which bandits are you from? Hurry up and capture them. At the center of the battlefield, a half-step Void God Realm and several sovereign lords charged over. These experts came from different sections. It was obvious that the actions of the ghost ship had angered everyone, and the righteous and demonic forces had teamed up to deal with them. Leave behind your interspatial items and I'll let you live. The child demigod had a cold expression. A brat whose hair hasn't even grown out yet. The leading half-step king laughed instead of getting angry as his half-step king intent pierced through the sky. Hu shua. A thick cloud of ghost corpse flames turned into a tornado that engulfed the group of people in the blink of an eye. Arg! Amidst miserable shrieks, the entire group, including the half-step king, was turned into nourishment. This scene caused the entire battlefield to change. The center of the two-star battlefield was filled with fear and chaos. The ghost ship used its unrivaled momentum to steal from many experts. Some Origin Core realm experts obediently handed over all their wealth in exchange for their lives. With this example, many experts followed suit. Meow meow. The little thieving cat smiled and kept collecting the spoils of war. Of course, a small number of experts tried to kill the little thieving cat, but all of them were instantly killed. Among them were one half-step king and two peak supremacies. After killing the chicken to warn the monkeys, the remaining experts shuddered and sucked in a breath of cold air. In the sky, the Void God Realm Kings finally stopped fighting. What's the background of this pirate ship? The Void God Realm Kings on the two-star battlefield looked at each other, and their expressions became solemn. On the ghost ship, there was a youth, a child, a cat, and a skeleton. This combination was hard to see through. However, it was this weird combination that managed to dominate the two-star battlefield. No matter what, we have to leave this pirate ship behind. The dark star symbol on the sky star demonic lord's forehead started to twitch and flash. If this pirate ship was allowed to escape unscathed, it would be a huge humiliation for the entire Red Dragon Island zone. The 5 Void God Realm Kings came to an agreement and sent the Sky-Flowing Sword King and the female from the demonic sect to deal with the pirate ship. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 2 Void God Realm Kings descended from the sky, and their magnificent power caused the Heaven-Earth Yuan Chi nearby to freeze. Zhe, more spoils of war. The child demigod was overjoyed instead of surprised. Seeing the 2 kings arrive, the child demigod's body glowed with a golden light, and a terrifying surge of magnificent power appeared in the air. Only now did the child demigod reveal his king cultivation. Boom! The figures of the Sky-Flowing Sword King and the female from the demonic sect shook as if they were being crushed by a mountain. The two kings harumphed and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Not good. Go and save them. The expressions of the Sky Star demonic lord and company changed dramatically. The strength that the child demigod displayed was comparable to a peak-tier king. The sky-flowing sword king and the female from the demonic sect weren't his match. Even the Sky Star demonic lord didn't have the battle power of a peak-tier king. Ping! Boom! A heaven-shaking rumble came from the void below, and the mountains and rivers within 1,000 miles collapsed inch by inch. Kneel! The child demigod's small body released a dominating physical force as two golden hands pressed the sky-flowing sword king and the female from the demonic sect onto the ground. Wah! The two kings spat out a mouthful of blood, and their faces went white. Meow meow. The little thieving cat flew over and took the interspatial items of the two kings. The female from the demonic sect's eyes were filled with coldness as the sky-flowing sword king's sword hummed and tried to counterattack. The child demigod snickered coldly. Boom! Boom! The two hands pressed down and crushed the two kings into a puddle of blood, which was then engulfed by the ghost corpse flames. The child demigod's golden Kuan's sacred body had just reached the 5th level, and he could sweep across void god realm kings with just his physical force alone. If he reached the late stages of the 5th level, his sacred body could even fight against emperors. Chapter 730. The child demigod's killing intent made the bodies of the Sky Star demonic lord and company go cold. In just an instant, two normal void god realm kings were killed by the child demigod. Hand over your interspatial items and I'll let you live. The child demigod licked his lips and looked at the three kings that were about to arrive. At this moment, the entire battlefield was deathly silent. The terrifying strength of the 3-4-year-old child made the hearts of the experts from the 1-star and 2-star sects jump. Even two kings had been easily killed by him, let alone those below the void god realm. Who are you? The Sky Star demonic lord's expression was grim, and his eyes were cold as the dark symbol on his forehead started to flicker. The sovereign of the demonic Tao in the Red Dragon Island zone was famed throughout the heavens and earth. Of the remaining three kings, only his strength was close to a peak-tier king. If the Sky Star demonic lord teamed up with the other two kings of the righteous Tao, they could definitely fight against a peak-tier king and even win. I don't want to repeat myself. The child demigod's expression became cold as he used his sacred body in demigod intent to seal the air. Both sides were in a stalemate. The Sky Star demonic lord, the white-haired elder, and the woman in white didn't dare to make any rash moves. This was because the only one from the ghost ship's side was the child demigod. There was also a mysterious youth within the pirate ship who was also immeasurably strong. That youth disappeared. The divine senses of the three void god realm kings locked down this area and caught a slight disturbance in space. Lightning wings flying technique. Shwa. A pair of 200 feet long crimson lightning wings that looked like burning wings surrounded by lightning appeared above the heads of the heavenly star demon master and the others. The three kings instantly felt a surge of lightning fire destruction sweep over, and they felt like they were suffocating. Boom! With the wings of wind and lightning as the center, a storm of destruction enveloped the three kings, forcing them to circulate their magnificent power to defend. Master! The child demigod let out a breath. He had a chance of winning against the Sky Star demonic lord and company alone. However, if the three of them ran in different directions, it would be hard for him to kill them all. Right now, if Xiao Feng used the lightning wings flying art to appear behind the three kings and form a pincer attack, then the celestial star demonic lord and company would have no chance of survival. The child demigod knew how fast Xiao Feng was. Master. The heavenly star demonic lord and the other two paled in shock. They felt a chill spread from the soles of their feet to their entire bodies. This little child had the battle power of a peak-tier king. Then, What kind of existence would his master be? Both of you, stop. The white-haired old man and the white-robed beauty were quite frightened, and they hurriedly called out. If they really fought, with the heavenly star demon lord's strength, he might be able to escape. The two of them were only normal kings, so their chances of escaping were less than 5%. These two are at least peak-tier king tiers. The heavenly star demon lord lost his will to fight. The demon star true power in his body secretly revolved, preparing to escape. As the number one expert of the demonic Tao in the Red Dragon Island zone, the Sky Star demonic lord's wealth far surpassed that of normal kings. He was not willing to be robbed by others. However, he had only just started preparing his escape technique when the youth with lightning wings behind him attacked. Stay here. The scarlet destruction lightning wings on Zhao Feng's back grew by a couple dozen yards, and they seemed to cover the sky. The magnificent power from his king intent increased. Ping! Zhao Feng just punched out, and the air turned into a dimension of ice. Everything was frozen. Not good. Ice sealing domain. The Sky Star demonic lord and company entered a dimension of ice. Their bodies froze, and a layer of ice formed on them, causing their speed to decrease dramatically. Not only that. Within that punch, a misty labyrinth world appeared vaguely, shrouding his body and mind. What? Soul Dao domain. Double domain. The hearts of the Sky Star demonic lord and company panicked, and they couldn't fight back at all. Mystic Ice domain. Maze domain. Double domain. The Mystic Ice domain came from Zhao Feng's Mystic Ice scaled race bloodline. In other words, Zhao Feng's simple punch contained two spatial domains. One was a Soul Dao domain, and the other was a physical Mystic Ice domain. The Mystic Ice domain's effect was to freeze everything. All living beings within the Profound Ice space domain would be enveloped by the Profound Ice's cold energy and be frozen solid. When the two spatial domains were stacked together, the power was immeasurable. Ping! The Sky Star demonic lord was sent flying by the punch, and a layer of ice formed on his body. He was already heavily injured. Under the stacking of the two domains, he couldn't fight back at all, and his mind and body were both injured. When Zhao Feng's illusion maze domain merged into an attack, it could not only cause mental confusion, but it also had a certain impact on the soul. "Milord, stop. We're at your disposal." The white-haired old man and the beauty in white couldn't get out of the two spatial domains, and they couldn't even touch Zhao Feng's figure. The stacking of the two domains caused the three to be in a world of ice and snow. The Sky Star demonic lord was lying next to a wall of ice and was trying his best to dissolve the power of ice. His face was filled with fear. Even if he could resist the Mystic Ice domain, he wouldn't be able to escape from the illusion maze domain in a short amount of time. Shwa! Shwa! The white-haired old man and the beauty in white disappeared from the Sky Star demonic lord's sight after surrendering. Damn it! The Sky Star demonic lord gritted his teeth. These two kings of the righteous path had surrendered so easily. Only the Sky Star demonic lord was left in the middle of the two spatial domains, and he was unwilling to give up. He had several important treasures in his hands, so how could he be willing to give up just like that? Meow meow. The white-haired old man and the beauty in white were plundered by the little thieving cat. These two Void God Realm kings were the true leaders of two-star sects, and they had a lot of wealth. Also, all the Origin Core Realm experts, hand over your spoils of war. The child demigod crossed his arms and looked down at the battlefield. There were still many Origin Core realms that hadn't been plundered. The white-haired old man and the beauty in white had helpless expressions. The battlefield of a two-star sect was being plundered by a four-man pirate ship. Right at this moment, the demonic star sect master, who was trapped in the middle of two spatial domains, suddenly screamed and fell from the sky. So, Zhao Feng circulated his eye intent and used a mental energy spike. The overwhelming advantage in the soul dimension almost made the demonic star sect master faint. Zhao Feng clapped his hands and told the little thieving cat and the child demigod to clean up the mess. My soul has been heavily injured. Even if my Yuan soul manages to escape, I'll still be dead. The demonic star sect master had a helpless expression. He, the sect master of a 2.5-star demonic sect, had fallen to such a state. I admit defeat. The demonic star sect master raised his hands and used his divine sense to tell the experts of the demonic sect to surrender. Now that the kings of both sides had been captured, the battle below quickly died down. Next, the vast 2-star battlefield was plundered like never before. 3 2-star sects and many 1-star sects were plundered by a single pirate ship. If this was spread, it would be shocking. It took an entire half a day for Zhao Feng's group of 4 to finish plundering the experts of the 2-star battleground. Meow meow. The little thieving cat had a satisfied expression as it started to clear out the mountain of spoils of war. Zhao Feng's ancient metal ring started to fill up once more. The child demigod's eyes were filled with excitement and heat. On the other hand, the upper echelon of the 3 2-star sects and the 1-star sects all seemed to have been raped. Her face was empty, bitter, and powerless, like a young wife who had just lost her temper. All right, thank you all for your hospitality. We won't be staying here any longer. After organizing the spoils of war, Zhao Feng's group of 4 entered the ghost ship. Whoosh! The experts watched as the ghost ship flew through the air. The experts on the 2-star battlefield heaved a sigh of relief after the ghost ship disappeared from their sight. However, the experts were enraged and cursed at the same time. Some of them even burst into tears. Arg! My sky cloud mother stone. My 10,000-year wood ginseng and several hundred years of savings. On the 2-star battlefield, many high-end experts went berserk on the spot, going crazy. However, no one dared to chase after the ghost ship. The 100-year war between clans in the Red Dragon Island zone came to an end. The essence of a war between clans was to redistribute resources. But now, the experts on the battlefield were all broke. How could they still have the mood to fight? Of course. This was good news for the middle and low-level cultivators, and even the common people at the bottom of the hierarchy. After several thousand years, there hadn't been another large-scale war between clans in the Red Dragon Island zone. The 1-star and 2-star sects all started to rest. After this battle, most of the resources in the Red Dragon Island zone had been taken. One had to know that 90% of the resources were in the hands of a small number of experts. Ha ha ha. The laughter of Zhao Feng and company could be heard as the ghost ship entered the dimension. Within the ship, Zhao Feng's group of 4 started to split the spoils. Being the captain of the pirates, Zhao Feng obviously had the right to split the spoils. The little thieving cat and little Kuan Yun each took 20% of the spoils. The skeletal division leader took 10%. Even if it was just 10% of the resources, it was still a huge amount, enough to buy a few 1-star sections. As the captain, Zhao Feng took half of the spoils. Zhe, looting a 2-star battlefield is so big. No wonder pirates are everywhere in the limitless ocean. Our plundering has even brought peace to this region, bringing endless blessings and blessings, the group of 4 started to discuss shamelessly. They didn't know that normal pirate forces wouldn't dare to offend 2-star sects unless they were the pirate kings of the pirate sacred land. Little Kuan Yun even suggested to do a few more. Don't be too high profile. There's always someone stronger. Back then, the pirate emperor had unparalleled battle power and was extremely high profile, but he was killed by a mystic light realm sacred lord. The wind lightning emperor's speed was unparalleled, but he was still killed by sacred lord purple knight. Zhao Feng shook his head. He wasn't blinded by the short-term benefits. He wasn't arrogant enough to think that he was stronger than the pirate emperor and the wind lightning emperor at their peak. Within the limitless ocean, the ghost ship flew at high speed and got closer and closer to its destination. There's only 2 or 3 more months before we reach the sky's sacred Qin Palace. Chapter 731. There are still 2 to 3 months before we reach the heavenly Saint Zither Palace, Zhao Feng murmured. Seeing that his destination was getting closer and closer, his heart was filled with apprehension, worry, and eagerness. In his mind, the elegant and beautiful figure, who was like a fairy in a painting, was dressed in a snow-white veil and had an ethereal and tranquil pretty face. Amidst a mixture of resentment and joy, she looked back and smiled at him. 7 years, he took a deep breath and felt a rare sense of nervousness. Looking back 7 years ago, the 17-year-old youth had become famous in the sacred True Dragon gathering. Unknowingly, so much time had passed. 7 years was enough for many things to happen. Putting aside Lu Qinxin's slim chance of survival, even if she was still alive, there would be too many variables in 7 years. If she was still alive, would Lu Qinxin remember her promise? She's in a foreign land, like a rootless duckweed. Could it be that she's already married? 7 years. If Lu Qinxin didn't die and didn't return, her fate would change unpredictably. Whoosh, Zhao Feng heaved a sigh of relief and calmed himself down. Whether he lived or died, he wanted a definite answer. This wasn't just his personal wish, but also the wish of his father, the flooding Lake City Lord. Void Mist Sea. The ghost ship maintained its high speed as it traveled through the void. In the void sea, the yuan qi was thin, the pressure of the world was low, and the air resistance was extremely low. Flying speed was 10 times faster than in the void sea. Even so, it would take at least 2 to 3 months for the ghost ship to reach the island zone where the sky sacred Qin Palace was. Inside the ship, Zhao Feng's group of 4 was counting the spoils of war that they had obtained not long ago. Zhao Feng alone took 40% of the spoils from the 2-star battlefield. Among them, the heavenly star demon lord had quite a bit of wealth on him. He had 7 or 8 peak-grade earth-ranked divine weapons, as well as some rare inheritance treasures. 7-star soul-condensing grass. 1000-year earth king ginseng. Cloud abyss true fruit. Zhao Feng discovered that several of the precious resources were beneficial to his cultivation and could help consolidate it. The 7-star soul-condensing grass could strengthen and condense the soul, as well as promote the transformation of the soul. The soul grass was a treasure that could heal the soul. No wonder the 7-star demon king was so unwilling. Duanling Tian thought to himself. Zhao Feng's lips curled up into a smile. The Skystar demonic lord was the oldest king of the Red Dragon Island zone, the strongest demonic cultivator. It wasn't hard for Zhao Feng to analyze. These 3 peak treasures were the foundation for a 7-star demonic lord to break through to the peak of the Void God realm. The other 2 top treasures, the 10,000-year Earth King Ginseng and the Cloud Abyss True Fruit, could greatly increase one's true essence and cultivation. The virtual God realm was mainly a transformation of the soul level. However, the crystal core in the body would also develop a true vitality space under the Grand Might Intent realm. Furthermore, ordinary space domains used the true Yuan space as their source of power. Since Zhao Feng had just reached Void God realm, the quintessential essence in his crystal core was surging. But this was just the beginning. When one's cultivation reached the peak of the King realm, the true Yuan space within the crystal core would become a vast true Yuan sea. In reality, the Sky Star demonic lord also had a blood demon King Pearl, which could strengthen one's body and blood. It was very beneficial for those who cultivated the demonic Tao. However, the child demigod had begged him to take it. Zhao Feng didn't cultivate the demonic Tao, so he didn't make things difficult for him. 3 months later, Zhao Feng's group of 4 began to wantonly consume the precious resources they had plundered to increase their strength. However, there were only a few treasures that were useful to Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng used the 10,000-year Earth King Ginseng, the 7-star soul condensing grass, and the Cloud Abyss True Fruit. These were all treasures that the Sky Star demonic lord needed to create a foundation for him to break through to the Void God realm in the future. However, Zhao Feng only used 1.5 months to use all 3 of them. On average, he used one every half a month. The 7-star soul condensing grass allowed Zhao Feng's soul to become slightly stronger. Even if it was just a bit, it wasn't easy for Zhao Feng. After all, his soul was constantly being strengthened by the God Tribulation Lightning, the 10,000 Divine Thoughts technique, and the Ancient Dream Realm. The strength of Zhao Feng's soul wasn't much different from an emperor's. Now that he had used the 7-star soul condensing grass, his soul had become even stronger, and it was on the same level as an emperor. The 10,000-year Earth King Ginseng and the Cloud Abyss True Fruit had greatly expanded Zhao Feng's true Yuan dimension. If it wasn't for the fact that Zhao Feng had only just reached the Void God realm, these 2 treasures would have allowed him to break through to the middle stages of the Void God realm in just a couple months. However, because Zhao Feng didn't have enough foundation, he couldn't use these 2 treasures to break through to the middle stages of the Void God realm. However, even then, after using the 10,000-year Earth King Ginseng and the Cloud Abyss True Fruit, Zhao Feng's cultivation wasn't any weaker than some early-stage Void God realm experts. He wasn't far from the middle stages of the Void God realm. I still have some spiritual fruits from the Ancient Dream realm. I should be able to break through to the middle stages of the Void God realm within half a year. Zhao Feng wasn't worried. His focus was still to absorb the deity Tribulation Lightning's power and comprehend its profundities to raise the level of his cultivation technique inheritance. Techniques could increase Zhao Feng's battle power in a short amount of time. Absorbing the power of the God Tribulation Lightning in his purple soul sea was still a daily task. Right now, Zhao Feng had absorbed 100 wisps of God Tribulation Lightning in his soul sea. Even if it was just a tiny wisp, it couldn't be underestimated after gathering 100 wisps. Zhao Feng's soul-type I bloodline techniques contained the power of the God Tribulation Lightning. Even the core of the Scarlet Destruction Wind Lightning contained a wisp of the power of the God Tribulation Lightning. Since the power of the God Tribulation Lightning was imprinted in his soul, it was 100 times easier to comprehend it. Zhao Feng's Scarlet Destruction Wind Lightning started to shine with a scarlet gold light. His Wind Lightning inheritance wasn't just a pure golden Wind Lightning anymore. The Scarlet Gold Wind Lightning should be the next level of Zhao Feng's Wind Lightning inheritance. It might even be the highest level. Back then, the Wind Lightning Emperor's Wind Lightning inheritance could reach the Golden and Dark Golden Wind Lightning. The Dark Golden Wind Lightning was the pinnacle of the Golden Wind Lightning. Zhao Feng's Scarlet Destruction Wind Lightning started to surpass the Wind Lightning inheritance. This was because Zhao Feng was able to stabilize the Scarlet Destruction Wind Lightning after merging with the aura of the Ancient Dream Realm. He could even grasp some of the origin intents. That was why Zhao Feng raised the Scarlet Destruction Wind Lightning to a higher level and pursued the strongest explosiveness. Once I complete the evolution of the Scarlet Gold Wind Lightning, its power will surpass the Wind Lightning Emperor's Golden Wind Lightning. Zhao Feng confirmed his direction. The difference between him and the Wind Lightning Emperor was cultivation and foundation. If Zhao Feng had the same cultivation as the Wind Lightning Emperor, he wouldn't have to be afraid of the Emperor of Death. Within the ghost ship, after obtaining a large amount of resources, the child demigod, the little thieving cat, and the skeletal division leader were all improving. Only a small portion of the resources from the 2-star battlefield were useful to Zhao Feng and the child demigod. The rest of the resources were given to the skeletal division leader to strengthen the ghost corpse cursed array. The strength of the cursed corpses were all reaching the Great Origin Core realm. Zhao Feng would occasionally enter the Ancient Dream realm to kill large beasts and use their flesh to feed the cursed corpses. The cursed corpses all had the 10,000 withering ghost bone bloodline, and they had absorbed the flesh from the Ancient Dream realm. Zhao Feng analyzed that the limit of these ghost corpses was at least a half-step king. If they could devour enough King Yuan souls, there was a small chance that they could break through to the king realm. Back in the Heaven's Legacy ancient city, Zhao Feng and the cursed corpses both contained the ancient Dream Realm bloodline, which greatly reduced the cost of strengthening their bloodlines. He suspected that this was related to the ancient Dream Realm. Time flew by. The ghost corpses ship traveled through the void mist sea, passing by many inner islands. The sky sacred Qin Palace was getting closer and closer. One more month. On a certain day, Zhao Feng suddenly opened his eyes. The skeletal division leader's cultivation had reached the peak Great Origin Core realm, and it wasn't far from the half-step King realm. The change in its aura caught the attention of Zhao Feng and the child demigod. The two didn't put it to heart and continued to cultivate. Zhao Feng used all kinds of methods to increase his strength. The child demigod was the same, recovering his strength as much as possible and comprehending the secret techniques from his previous life. There was only 1 month left. Zhao Feng's focus was on forming the Wind Lightning spatial domain and comprehending the Lightning Wing spatial flash. Zhao Feng slowly grasped the basics of the Lightning Wing spatial flash, and his flying speed increased dramatically. As for the Wind Lightning domain, Zhao Feng already had an outline of it in the 18 Corners Pirate Sacred Land. However, the reality was that Zhao Feng's Mystic Ice domain was completed first. The Mystic Ice domain was a domain that came with the bloodline of the Mystic Ice scaled race, and it could be formed as long as one comprehended the bloodline inheritance. Zhao Feng felt that the Mystic Ice domain was more effective, so he formed it first. In the past, there was some resistance when he was forming the Wind Lightning domain. Now, Zhao Feng had broken through to the Void God realm, and he had opened up a dimension of true yuan in his crystal core. There was no resistance when he formed the Wind Lightning domain. It wasn't smooth when I formed the Wind Lightning domain before because my cultivation wasn't at the Void God realm, so I didn't have a dimension of true yuan. Zhao Feng understood. Next, Xiaoqian took a step forward in forming the Wind Lightning domain's outline. There was no difficulty at all. Half a month later, Zhao Feng's Wind Lightning domain was finally formed. The Wind Lightning domain used the Wind Lightning inheritance as the core and the True Yuan dimension as the source. If Zhao Feng decided to cultivate another technique in the future, the Wind Lightning inheritance would disappear. Wang whoosh. The space around the ghost corpse ship was surrounded by thousands of lightning bolts and storms, forming a space domain that was hundreds of kilometers in circumference. Astonishing lightning storms were being nurtured within it. Zhao Feng used this spatial domain as an offensive domain. As long as he punched out, the Wind Lightning domain would condense to a point, and its power would more than double. Wind Lightning domain. This Zhao Feng has already formed a third spatial domain. Waves appeared in the child demigod's heart. That's right. At this point, Zhao Feng had already completed 3 domains. Tao of the Soul, Illusion Maze domain. Bloodline, Mystic Ice domain. Cultivation Technique, Wind Lightning domain. It was unimaginable for an early-stage Void God Realm King to have 3 spatial domains. Of course, out of these 3 spatial domains, the first 2 were basically innate abilities. Only the Wind Lightning domain was formed after Zhao Feng spent a lot of effort. I wonder what kind of power the 3 spatial domains will have. Zhao Feng couldn't help but feel excited and expectant. Half a month later, the ghost ship finally arrived at the Gone Sacred Island zone. According to the map, the Sky Sacred Qin Palace was within this zone. Chapter 732. Master, we've entered the Gone Sacred Island zone. We'll reach the Sky Sacred Qin Palace soon. The skeletal division leader reported from the ghost ship. It was slightly puzzled. What was Zhao Feng's goal in coming to the Sky Sacred Qin Palace? Zhao Feng had always kept this a secret. Zhao Feng waved his hand, and an ice blue screen appeared in front of him, displaying the map of this island zone. The Gone Sacred Island zone was extremely big, and there were many islands. It was twice the size of the Tianlu Island zone and the Azure Island zone. There were many forces here, and there were many inheritances of the Tao of entertainment. According to the information from 10,000 years ago, there are 5 or 6 two-star sects here. The Heavenly Sacred Qin Palace is a peak 2-star Tao of entertainment sect. Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled as he thought. A peak 2-star sect that cultivated the Tao of entertainment was indeed unusual. It could be said that this was the origin of the Tao of entertainment in the Tsang Ocean. The Sky Sacred Qin Palace was the number 1 sect in the Tao of entertainment 10,000 years ago. According to the information on the map, the Sky Sacred Qin Palace was located in the center of the Sky Sacred Qin Zone. It was the most prosperous island zone in the island zone. Of course. All the information that Zhao Feng knew was given to him by the Purple Knight Sacred Lord from 10,000 years ago. He couldn't be sure if the Sky Sacred Qin Palace was still in the Sky Sacred Qin Zone or not. Several days later, an island filled with Yuan Qi appeared in front of him. It was surrounded by a layer of blue, red, and purple light. Looking from the outside, the island was like a zither, and one could faintly see the mountains and rivers within. The aura this island gave Zhao Feng was extremely peaceful. It was as if there were birds singing, flowers fragrant, music, books, and books. It wasn't like other islands that were filled with killing and chaotic auras, such as the Azure Flower Continent. That's right, it should be here. Zhao Feng nodded his head faintly. This aura should come from the origin of the Tao of entertainment. It was different from normal sections. So, the ghost ship left behind a dark arc of lightning as it charged into the inner space. In the process of entering the outer realm, the surface of the ship lit up with brilliant sparks. There was an invisible force field on the surface of any island region. It was almost impossible for those at the bottom of the island to break through to the outside world. The minimum requirement was the True Lord rank. Therefore, those who could travel the outer domain void sea were all peak experts of the various zones. Most of them were at the True Spirit realm or above, with the Primal Core realm being more common. After entering the domain space, the speed of the ghost ship decreased sharply. The pressure of heaven and earth, air resistance, and other factors were different from the outer realms. The territory of the Sky Zither region was 2 to 3 times that of the Azure Flower region. Zhao Feng did not have a map of the island region, and he still needed to inquire about the location of the Heavenly Sacred Qin Palace. Furthermore, most humans didn't know the location of the Sky Sacred Qin Palace. For example, when Zhao Feng was in the Zhao clan, he had no idea about the world of sections. Even after joining the Broken Moon clan, he still didn't know where the 10 great clans were. This was the limitation brought about by one's level. It's best to find a cultivator above the True Spirit realm and ask him. Zhao Feng made up his mind. He spread his divine sense and headed in the direction of the auras of experts. Neither Zhao Feng nor the ghost ship had the same speed as they did in the limitless ocean. Half a day later, after passing through several rivers and forests, the disturbance of Yuan Qi ahead became stronger. Zhao Feng's divine sense landed on an island in the middle of a lake. There were many human auras on the island, and many of them had reached the True Spirit realm or even the Origin Core realm. Furthermore, Zhao Feng also saw many cultivators that cultivated the Tao of entertainment. He had found the right place. Zhao Feng revealed a joyful expression as he flew in that direction. The ghost ship was somewhat eye-catching. Zhao Feng told the skeletal division leader to return to the 10,000 Ghost Pearl and put away the ship. Whoosh! Zhao Feng turned into a streak of lightning as he approached the island in the center of the lake. The aura of a Void God Realm King was too strong, so Zhao Feng suppressed his cultivation to the Origin Core realm. However, even then, those at the Primal Core realm were considered peak experts in the region, known as sovereigns. At this moment in time, on the island at the center of the lake, a grand event was being held. Most of the geniuses were at least at the True Spirit realm. It's indeed worthy of being the Tao of Entertainment meeting that happens once every 10 years. All the geniuses of the younger generation have gathered here. Although we don't have the right to participate, it's a rare chance to watch. Whispers could be heard from the crowd at the periphery. At the center of the meeting was a large circular plaza. In the four corners of the plaza, there were many seats stacked on top of each other. The highest was 18 floors. At the center of the plaza were two large platforms that looked like chessboards. The two platforms were each 10 miles long, and they faced each other several miles apart. At this moment in time, on the two platforms, there was a black-robed young man and a beautiful young girl. The girl in black played the flute, creating waves that crashed against the shore like an eagle spreading its wings. The sound waves of the music Tao created a tornado that charged towards the girl in front of her. The young girl sat quietly, she stretched out her hand elegantly and played her pipa. Circles of gentle rainbow ripples formed a formless force field that blocked the young man's music path attack. Tao of Entertainment meeting. Zhao Feng floated in the clouds and watched the Tao of Entertainment meeting below. The geniuses participating were all at the true mystic rank or above, and there were some at the true lord rank. A small number had even reached the origin core realm. From the looks of it, these geniuses came from 1-star and 2-star sections. The two of them fought for a while. In the end, the black-clothed youth couldn't keep up and was hit by the sound of a powerful army. Colorful arcs of light shook the black-clothed girl until she vomited blood. Great! As expected of a core disciple of the Six Qin Palace. After the victor was decided, there was a burst of praise and criticism coming from the seats on the surrounding steps. However, many gazes looked at the three geniuses of the Tao of Entertainment who had reached the primal core realm. The three geniuses, one male and two females, each sat in an elegant pavilion. Mystic Sound Palace, Six Qin Palace, Sky Sacred Qin Palace. The three head disciples. The male and two females in the three pavilions became the focus of everyone's gazes. The male was handsome and gentle, and the two females had elegant auras, as if they were classical beauties. Especially, in the middle pavilion was a girl sitting in front of a qin. Just looking at her from the side was enough to steal one's soul. The woman was dressed in a snow-white dress, and her fine black hair fell to the ground. Her temperament was elegant and otherworldly. Her skin was like ice and her bones were like jade, and her eyebrows were like a painting. She was quiet like a fairy, and she had the classical charm of a painting. Amongst the geniuses of the Tao of Entertainment, this girl had an unparalleled aura in terms of looks and cultivation. The males couldn't hide the admiration in their eyes. Qin Qin. Zhao Feng, who was in the clouds, couldn't help but exclaim when he saw the figure of this girl. The snow-white girl was like a classical beauty from a painting. She sat in front of a qin, and her calm aura of the Tao of Entertainment overlapped with the figure in his memory. Yu was lucky to win just then. I hope Goddess Snow Qin can teach me a thing or two. The graceful woman who had just won smiled sweetly. Although her words were polite, there was a hint of coldness in her clear eyes. Zhao Feng could see that the reason why this elegant girl won just now was because she was stronger than the flute player in terms of strategy and strength. Furthermore, this girl's cultivation had reached the peak true lord rank. Lin Yu, your 6 zither 9 sounds has excellent temperament and has already entered the path of the zither. However, in terms of the use of the hollow sound, it is slightly lacking. The voice of the quiet woman called Fairy Snow Zither was gentle and pleasant. Just the sound alone seemed to outline the picturesque scenery of a clear spring and a small bridge. Even her voice has merged with the Tao of Entertainment and can communicate with heaven and earth. The expression of the elegant woman, who had been trying to provoke him earlier, changed. She looked into Goddess Snow Qin's eyes. They were as clear as the moon and seemed to have a power that could see through one's heart. She could not help but feel a sense of inferiority. Being the second-ranked core disciple of the 6th Qin Palace, she originally wanted to fight Li Shui to test her strength. However, Goddess Snow Qin's mastery of the Tao of entertainment was perfect. Not only did she see through her flaws, she even made her fall into the Tao of entertainment. Li Shui's mastery of the Tao of entertainment has reached such a level. Her every action radiates the Tao of entertainment. The hearts of the other two peerless geniuses in the pavilions shook. This Li Shui is said to be the number one genius of the Sky Sacred Qin Palace in the past several thousand years. Her appearance has brought some light to the declining Sky Sacred Qin Palace, and she's become the hope of the clan. Discussion sounded below. Li Shui's few comments brought a huge wave to this Music Path conference. Before this, Li Shui's talent was only limited to legends. The other two peerless geniuses were silent for a long time. Li Shui. She's not Qin. In the clouds, Zhao Feng watched the battles in the Tao of Entertainment meeting. The format of the Tao of Entertainment conference was similar to the Geniuses Summit or the Tea Party. This was a gathering for the geniuses of the Tao of Entertainment to exchange pointers. The girl called Li Shui was the head disciple of the Sky Sacred Qin Palace, and her cultivation in the Qin surpassed everyone else. As time passed, the sparring sessions and comments were carried out in an orderly manner. Li Shui also appeared on stage once or twice. She was as graceful as a fairy. Her white hands gently stroked the zither, and supreme music resonated with the power of heaven and earth. Even the handsome man of the three entertainment Tao geniuses couldn't last more than 10 breaths in front of Li Shui. Strong. A measly late-stage small origin core realm can release battle power comparable to a sovereign lord by playing the Qin. Zhao Feng couldn't help but exclaim. The reason why he stopped was because Li Shui had an aura similar to Lu Qinxin's. Even her beautiful figure looked similar to that of the other one. She comes from the Sky Sacred Qin Palace, and her aura is similar to Qinxin's. However, I don't see Qinxin. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed. His divine sense had scanned across the area and didn't find Lu Qinxin. This made Zhao Feng's heart go cold. 7 years later. If Lu Qinxin was at the Sky Sacred Qin Palace, she definitely had the right to participate in the Tao of Entertainment conference with her talent and could even be listed as one of the three geniuses. However, Zhao Feng's divine sense scanned across the area and didn't find Lu Qinxin's aura. Chapter 733. Zhao Feng watched the entire event from the clouds. He didn't leave because he had found a clue. The Tao of Entertainment meeting slowly came to an end. Li Shui became the main character of the meeting. Her talent in the Tao of the Qin surpassed all the other geniuses of the Gan Sacred Island Zone. The other two geniuses of the Gan Sacred Island Zone couldn't even last 10 breaths in front of Li Shui. Even some of the seniors who cultivated the entertainment Tao felt inferior. It's even more exaggerated than the rumors. This Li Shui is said to be the number one genius of the Sky Sacred Qin Palace in the past several thousand years, but she's probably still a bit conservative. This girl is responsible for the revival of the Sky Sacred Qin Palace. Some of the older experts of the Tao of Entertainment had worried expressions. Tens of thousands of years ago, the Sky Sacred Qin Palace was a peak 2-star sect that had once entered the floating dream sacred land. However, in the next few thousand years, this legendary 2-star sect started to fall and lose its position as the ruler of the Tao of Entertainment. After the meeting ended, some of the people were leaving. However, Li Shui's every frown and smile attracted the attention of many people. Some of the young men seemed to have lost their souls. Some geniuses of the Tao of Entertainment gathered their courage and went to talk to Goddess Snow Qin. Right at this moment, an astonishing arc of wind and lightning swept down from the sky. Who's there? Goddess, watch out! The geniuses near Li Shui exclaimed. The owner of the arc of wind and lightning was extremely fast, and his aura had reached the sovereign lord level. Luckily, the unknown expert didn't attack after landing. Which bastard dares to do something to Goddess Snow Qin? The nearby geniuses calmed their emotions and stared at the youth surrounded by wind and lightning warily. The youth stood with his hands behind his back. He was handsome, and his aura had reached the sovereign lord level. The geniuses near Goddess Snow Qin didn't dare to attack. Of the geniuses present, the one with the highest cultivation was Li Shui, but she was only at the late-stage small origin core realm. Who are you? Li Shui's eyebrows furrowed, but she didn't panic. Her voice was like the sound of nature. She carefully inspected the young man before her. His talent and cultivation had surpassed all the geniuses present. Apart from the floating dream sacred land, it would be hard for any other island zone to have such a genius. I am Zhao Feng. I would like to invite Miss Li to admire the moon with me. The young man smiled faintly and casually, as if he was narrating a very ordinary matter. Admiring the moon. The entertainment path geniuses were shocked and furious. This fellow of unknown origins was truly bold, targeting Fairy Snow Qin in broad daylight. If I don't want to. Li Shui's clear eyes were as calm as the surface of a lake. No one could tell what she was thinking. You will. Zhao Feng smiled and slowly walked towards Li Shui. It turned out that the clue he was looking for was locked onto Li Shui. After all, this woman was the head disciple of the Sky Sacred Qin Palace. If Lu Qinxin was also in the sect, she would definitely know about it. Furthermore, with this woman's talent, she had most likely entered the Heaven Saint Zither inheritance. Due to the fact that Li Shui had an aura similar to Lu Qinxin's, Zhao Feng didn't forcefully use the soul-searching technique on her. Li Shui inspected Zhao Feng silently, and curiosity flashed through her eyes. Instinct told her that this male had no ill intentions towards her. Stop right there. Bastard. Don't even think of harming Fairy Snow Qin. Some of the entertainment path geniuses present were filled with anger and joy. Maybe this was a good chance to show off in front of Fairy Snow Qin. Although the youth's cultivation was high, there were too many entertainment path geniuses present, and there were also experts of the older generation present. Zhao Feng ignored these geniuses and slowly walked towards Li Shui. Bam! 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 The entertainment path geniuses that approached Zhao Feng were sent flying by an invisible force and spat out blood on the ground. Surprise flashed through Li Shui's eyes. Even with her cultivation, she couldn't see through Zhao Feng. Brat! How dare you cause trouble at the banquet? The auras of several great origin core realm sovereign lords came from several directions. Amongst them was a female in red who was a half-step king. A half-step king and 3 great origin core realm sovereign lords flew over, worried that Zhao Feng would accidentally injure Li Shui. Zhao Feng ignored them and slowly walked towards Li Shui. He even extended a hand and made a gentlemanly gesture. The sight infuriated the experts of the older generation, including the red-shirt woman. This brat was arrogant and dared to ignore everyone. Boom! The experts of the older generation were enveloped by a magnificent power as they got close to Zhao Feng. What? How is this possible? Magnificent power of a king. The 4 of them, including the woman in red, were trapped in the void. Their thoughts and wills could not even muster up a single thought to resist. Shock and fear appeared in the eyes of the 4 experts of the older generation. The entire venue was dead silent. You. Li Shui's expression finally changed as she looked at Zhao Feng in disbelief. Senior. Why are you making things difficult for a junior of the Tao of Entertainment? The female in red took a deep breath and barely managed to speak. At this moment, the experts of the older generation froze, and none of them dared to do anything. I just want to talk to her. Zhao Feng's tone was calm, and he didn't go too far. How would Shui dare to refuse Senior's invitation? Li Shui bit her lips and looked deeply at Zhao Feng with bitterness and helplessness. At this point, how could she not see Zhao Feng's true level? A half-step king and 3 great origin core realm sovereign lords were instantly frozen in front of Zhao Feng. If he wanted to, he could decide their life and death with just a thought. Let's go. Zhao Feng nodded his head in admiration and grabbed Li Shui's soft hand, and his magnificent power instantly pierced through the sky. In the blink of an eye, Zhao Feng and Li Shui disappeared from the Tao of Entertainment banquet. Sii. The experts of the Tao of Entertainment all took in cold breaths. Some geniuses were dazed. Void God Realm King. The old supremacies who attacked earlier had bitter expressions on their faces. He probably isn't a normal king. Luckily, that person doesn't seem to have any ill intentions towards Shui. If he really did attack, none of us would be able to survive. The female in red was dazed as she looked in the direction the two disappeared in. A while later, several thousand miles away, on a lone peak, Zhao Feng and Li Shui stood side by side. He actually. Li Shui broke free from Zhao Feng's hand, and a rare blush appeared on her face. She was angry, but apart from humiliation, there was also an indescribable feeling that made her heart beat faster. No matter what, the other party was a king that looked down on the world. No. Zhao Feng murmured. At the start, Zhao Feng had a trace of hope that Li Shui's mind had been erased, and her aura had become a completely different person. However, after repeated checks, including physical contact, Zhao Feng was sure that Li Shui and Lu Qinxin were 2 completely different people. Lady Li, you come from the Sky Sacred Qin Palace. Does your sect have a Sky Sacred Qin inheritance? Did it open 7 years ago? Zhao Feng went straight to the point. Sky Sacred Qin inheritance. Li Shui thought for a while before answering, maybe the outside world can call it that. In reality, 7 years ago was when the Fanluan Ancient Sound Palace opened. Fanluan Ancient Sound Palace. Hearing these words, Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye twitched. Meow meow. The little thieving cat also appeared and wiped the drool from its mouth. It hugged a flask of wine and drank 2 mouthfuls. What a cute little cat. Li Shui couldn't help but look at the little thieving cat a few more times. Fanluan Ancient Sound Palace. What kind of existence is that? Was there a genius that wasn't from your sect that entered 7 years ago? Zhao Feng said in a solemn tone. He was sure that he had found the key. Senior, you've asked me so many questions in one breath. Before that, can you answer one of Shui's questions? Li Shui's face revealed a rare hint of playfulness as she asked. Her eyes were like the moon, and her face had a faint blush that added to her charm. Maybe it was because she felt that Zhao Feng was easygoing and young, but Li Shui wasn't afraid of him. Zhao Feng paused and said, ask away. Senior, how old are you this year? I feel that you're not like those void god realm kings that have lived for thousands of years. Li Shui asked curiously. 24 years old, Zhao Feng was expressionless. 24. Li Shui paused, and she couldn't suppress the shock on her face. She didn't think that this senior king would be around the same age as her. Li Shui was the #1 genius of the Sky Sacred Qin Palace in several thousand years. She was a prodigy of the Tao of Entertainment. However, this youth in front of her was around the same age as her, and he had reached the level of a king. Now, you should answer my question. Zhao Feng gave a leisurely smile, a hint of self-satisfaction on his face. Li Shui suppressed the shock in her heart and finally calmed down before answering Zhao Feng's question. Apparently, the Fanluan Ancient Sound Palace came from the ancient era before the Fan universe was born. It was discovered by the founder of the Sky Sacred Qin Palace tens of thousands of years ago and became the core of our inheritance. However, even the founder, who was half a step into the mystic light realm, wasn't able to decipher the secrets of the Fanluan Ancient Sound Palace. Li Shui first talked about the history of the Fanluan ancient Sound Palace. Zhao Feng started to think. From the looks of it, it was the Fanluan ancient Sound Palace that took Lu Qinxin away from the sacred True Dragon gathering. Because this inheritance belonged to the Tao of Entertainment, it rarely appeared in history and didn't attract much attention. Then did an outsider enter the Fanluan ancient Sound Palace 7 years ago? Zhao Feng asked. Hearing that, Li Shui started to think. If you asked someone else, you might not have an answer. However, when I entered the Fanluan ancient Sound Palace 7 years ago, I was far ahead of all the other geniuses, but I saw a figure on the 32nd floor. Li Shui replied. She seemed a little uncertain. A figure? Zhao Feng's eyes locked onto Li Shui. 7 years ago, I thought that it was just an illusion. The Fanluan ancient Sound Palace is split into 49 floors. The more floors you reach, the more talent you have in the Tao of Entertainment. At that time, all the geniuses in the clan were left behind by me. How could there be someone ahead of me and reach a higher level? Li Shui bit her lips. 7 years ago, she had seen that vague figure, but she had always thought that it was just an illusion. She didn't believe that there was someone more talented than her in the Tao of Entertainment. It was because she didn't believe it and couldn't accept it that Li Shui instinctively thought it was an illusion. Hearing up to here, Zhao Feng was almost certain that Lu Qinxin had entered the Fanluan ancient Sound Palace. Take me to the Sky Sacred Qin Palace. Chapter 734. Zhao Feng no longer hesitated, taking Li Shui with him and flying for almost 10,000 miles. Not long later. A land of mountains and rivers with hundreds of flowers swirling in the air appeared in front of him. It was like a paradise drawn by mountains and rivers in a painting. The magnificent scenery of nature washed away all the greenery of the world, and all the hustle and bustle were far away. This tranquil, and picturesque scenery caused one to be immersed in it, unable to extricate themselves. Zhao Feng's slightly anxious mood calmed down. He had gained some and lost some on this trip, and he had started to get over it. All he wanted was to have a clear conscience. We're here. Li Shui took Zhao Feng and flew toward a mountain that was surrounded by water. There were many pavilions on the mountain, and the faint sound of a zither could be heard. This was the mountain gate of the Sky Sacred Qin Palace, a place that stood aloof from worldly affairs and tranquility. Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye caught the aura of the Sky Sacred Qin Palace and he suddenly understood why the Sky Sacred Qin Palace was slowly declining. Why was it so hard for sects that cultivated the Tao of Entertainment to stand at the peak of this era? It was because this place was too peaceful. A worry-free environment lacked competition and lost the fighting spirit. Shui. Sister Li. Along the way, the disciples of the Sky Sacred Qin Palace greeted Li Shui. These people curiously inspected Zhao Feng. Seeing Zhao Feng and Li Shui fly side by side, some of the male disciples couldn't help but look at them with jealousy and hatred. Enforcers, this is an esteemed guest that Master invited. Li Shui said. The members in charge of enforcing the rules heard Li Shui's solemn words and retreated. Li Shui calmed down slightly. The person next to her was a Void God Realm King. If there was any conflict, it wouldn't be a joke. Not long later. The two arrived in front of a palace surrounded by a white lotus. The palace master and first elder are in seclusion. In front of the palace, two members of the Sky Sacred Qin Palace, a man and a woman, stopped the two. Zhao Feng understood the current situation of the Sky Sacred Qin Palace from Li Shui. There were two Void God Realm Kings in the Sky Sacred Qin Palace, the Palace Master and First Elder. They were a couple. Seclusion. The couple from the Zither Palace couldn't be a couple. The way of cultivation, right? Zhao Feng couldn't help but have evil thoughts. As he grew older, he was no longer the wooden and pure youth he was at the beginning. He was already very clear about the matters between men and women. Senior Zhao, you see, Li Shui was in a difficult position. The palace lord and first elder were both in seclusion, but Zhao Feng was a void god realm king and couldn't be ignored. I can't wait. Zhao Feng pondered for a moment before coming to a decision. If one stayed in one place for too long, the danger of being hunted down would gradually increase. You should know. Zhao Feng's group of 4 had raided a 2-star battlefield a few days ago. The girl with the eye of destiny was no pushover. Boom, suddenly, a vast magnificent power of a king enveloped the palace like a giant mountain. Colorful lotuses of light appeared on the surface of the palace, forming a powerful protective formation. You, stop. Li Shui's expression changed dramatically when she felt the magnificent power of a king. Zhao Feng's control was very good. He only controlled the magnificent power in a small area, or else the entire mountain might collapse. Crack. The lotuses of light around the palace started to shatter. One had to know that Zhao Feng's soul was on par with an emperor's, and his intent was also extremely strong. Who's there? Which king dares to invade the Zither Palace? The exclamations of a male and female came from within the palace. Zhao Feng stood with his hands behind his back and had a faint smile on his face. Li Shui looked at the youth in front of her, who was surrounded by a layer of magnificent power. Was this young king not afraid of angering the 2 kings of the Zither Palace? Shua! Shua! A man and a woman, 2 figures shrouded in the radiance of mighty power appeared in front of the 2. One of them was a noble beauty, the palace lord of the Zither Palace. The other scholarly middle-aged man was obviously the first elder of the Zither Palace. Shui. The beauty in green and the scholarly middle-aged man looked at Zhao Feng and Li Shui in surprise. From the looks of it, Zhao Feng and Li Shui were getting along well. The 2 kings let out a breath and couldn't help but suspect the relationship between Zhao Feng and Li Shui. Could it be that Shui has found a future husband who's a king? The gaze of the beauty in green made Li Shui's face turn red. She knew that her master had misunderstood. The palace master and first elder didn't question him angrily. Instead, they inspected Zhao Feng. Being an expert that cultivated the Tao of entertainment, he had a good cultivation. Furthermore, as a powerful void god realm king at such a young age, it was understandable that he didn't harm a single flower or grass when he visited the sky-sacred Qin Palace. The 2 kings looked at each other. They were sure that they didn't know this void god realm king. I'm Zhao Feng, and I come from the true martial spiritual zone. I have an important matter that requires me to come to the sky-sacred Qin Palace to visit the 2 seniors. Zhao Feng said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Please. The 2 kings that cultivated the Tao of entertainment had a good impression of Zhao Feng when they saw that he was polite and didn't have any youthful arrogance. The sky-sacred Qin Palace master would rather Zhao Feng and Li Shui had that kind of relationship. After all, it was rare to see such a young king, and his void god realm intent seemed to be slightly stronger than the 2 of them. Within an elegant and fragrant hall, the palace master and her husband, Zhao Feng, and Li Shui sat down. As they spoke, Zhao Feng told them the reason for their visit. Fanluan Ancient Sound Palace. Shui, did you really see that figure 7 years ago? The couple from the sky-sacred Qin Palace were shocked. The Fanluan Ancient Sound Palace was discovered by the founder of the sky-sacred Qin Palace, and it was the core inheritance of the sky-sacred Qin Palace. Now, they found out that an outsider had entered the Fanluan Ancient Sound Palace. It was the figure of a female that matched the person Senior Zhao mentioned. If it was just an illusion, how could it be so coincidental? Li Shui confirmed. She had just talked to Zhao Feng, and the figure she had seen 7 years ago matched the Lu Qinshin that Zhao Feng had described. There's such a thing. No wonder the Fanluan Ancient Sound Palace opened by itself back then. The couple from the sky-sacred Qin Palace felt that this was unbelievable. The 2 of them looked at each other. After a brief exchange, they quickly came to a decision. We must find out the truth. The couple from the Sky's sacred Qin Palace had solemn expressions. The Fanluan Ancient Sound Palace was the core inheritance of the Sky's sacred Qin Palace, and an outsider had entered without them knowing. This made it hard for the couple from the Sky's sacred Qin Palace to be at peace. From a certain perspective, this was a hidden danger for the Sky's sacred Qin Palace. The couple decided to find out the truth, and if there were any flaws in the inheritance, they had to fix it. The two decided to work together to find out the truth. Zhao Feng nodded his head. The couple from the Sky's sacred Qin Palace were both reasonable and didn't purposely reject Zhao Feng. Their goals were basically the same. Zhao Feng wanted to confirm whether his fiancée was dead or alive, while the couple from the Sky's sacred Qin Palace wanted to find out if there were any flaws in the core inheritance. An hour later, the couple gathered the upper echelon of the Sky's sacred Qin Palace. The weakest elder participating in the meeting was a peak sovereign lord. This was because they were going to enter the core inheritance through an abnormal method. In principle, this went against the rules of the sect. Such an action required the 9 grand elders to make a decision together in order to ensure fairness. After understanding the seriousness of the matter, the 9 elders approved it. An outsider entering the core inheritance without anyone knowing was something that couldn't be tolerated. A while later, the upper echelon of the Sky's sacred Qin Palace arrived at the forbidden grounds of the sect. In their vision was a vast abyss covered in mist. Zhao Feng's left eye could faintly see an ancient and mysterious palace. This palace was grand and majestic. It had 49 floors, and it was shrouded in a layer of light that made it hard to see clearly. However, Zhao Feng could see that the ancient sound palace was shaped like a wheel, and the center should be empty. In the darkness, Zhao Feng's 10,000 ancient races bloodline trembled, and his god's spiritual eye twitched. Even though the Fanluan ancient sound palace was sealed by a profound array, Zhao Feng could still feel the aura of the ancient era. This ancient aura was similar to the aura in the ancient dream realm. Zhao Feng instinctively felt that the Fanluan ancient sound palace wasn't something the Sky's sacred Qin Palace could control. This palace was discovered by the founder of the Sky's sacred Qin Palace. Even an expert that was half a step into the mystic light realm couldn't solve all the secrets of the ancient sound palace. When the couple and the elders of the Sky's sacred Qin Palace waved their array flags, and the mist in the abyss started to move before dispersing and revealing the outline of the Fanluan ancient sound palace. Even though the mist disappeared, the ultimate palace of the Tao of entertainment still gave off a blurry and chaotic feeling. However, the ancient aura became stronger, and everyone present felt as if they were ants looking up at a giant. Whoosh! 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 The couple led the upper echelon of the Sky's sacred Qin Palace, including Zhao Feng and Li Shui, into the abyss. Apart from Li Shui, the weakest amongst them was at the peak Great Origin Core realm. Next, the couple, Zhao Feng, and the other 3 kings worked together to forcefully open the Fanluan ancient sound palace. Even though the Sky's sacred Qin Palace controlled the array, there was still a lot of resistance when it was opened normally. In an instant, 3 surges of magnificent power merged into a unique silver token in front of the Fanluan ancient sound palace. The couple from the Sky's sacred Qin Palace were both domain-level kings. The magnificent power that Zhao Feng displayed wasn't any weaker than the couple's. This meant that his king intent had reached at least the domain-level king level. When the silver token released a light that shot into the sky, and it trembled as it struggled to rise. At the same time, boom! Boom! In front of the Fanluan ancient sound palace, an ancient silver metal door slowly opened. Every time the token rose, the door would open a little more. The door stopped when it was only a third of the way open. Because it wasn't opened normally, it was already pretty good if it could open a third of the way. It was as tall as a person. Hurry up! The couple's urgent voice sounded. Whoosh! Zhao Feng turned into a scarlet-red arc of lightning and entered the Fanluan ancient sound palace at his fastest speed. After that, the couple from the sky-sacred Qin Palace took Li Shui and entered the ancient Sound Palace together, followed by the elders. On the first floor of the Fan Luan ancient Sound Palace, below their feet was a winding staircase that didn't seem to have an end. In front of them was a stone wall with many ancient paintings. A weird scene appeared. The scenes within the paintings, the figures of the ancient people, and even their voices jumped out of the wall and appeared in front of them. Zhao Feng's footsteps paused as he met with a resistance. Chapter 735. The figures in the painting jumped out, and a few pavilions appeared in his field of vision. A few females in ancient clothes were dancing with the accompaniment of a zither player. There were servants coming and going, and it was a scene of singing and dancing. At the two ends of the song and dance were some officials, and at the head of the table sat a sovereign. The scene in front of him couldn't be distinguished from reality. Those people were chatting and drinking, and their expressions and words were flawless. Zhao Feng was slightly surprised. He felt a trace of resistance as he walked forward. The scenes that jumped out of the painting seemed to have real power. Whether it was the singing of the dancers or the officials or sovereigns present, they all had the power to affect reality. This bit of resistance obviously couldn't stop Zhao Feng. However, the problem was that this was only the first level. He couldn't imagine what kind of power there would be in the higher levels. It's just the music and dance of the human world. Li Shui smiled faintly as she walked in front. With a point of her finger, the scenes all disappeared. The winding stairs once again appeared and led to the second level. Zhao Feng couldn't help but be amazed. Those who cultivated the Tao of music could easily solve these songs and dances that affected reality. If it was a layman who didn't understand music, there would be a lot of resistance if they tried to solve it by force. Because it's not a normal opening, there are no rewards for passing each level, and you can't obtain any inheritance or comprehension. An elder murmured. If the Fan Luan ancient Sound Palace had opened normally, the geniuses that entered would receive rewards for passing a certain level. Some of the rewards were treasured instruments, some were comprehension, and some were secret techniques of the Tao of music. In some levels, there were even inheritances of the ancient Tao of music. However, because it was not a normal opening, there were no rewards. It was just a simple observation. Although there are no rewards, as long as one person passes the level, everyone can enter the next level. The princess of the sky-sacred Qin Palace nodded and said. The sky-sacred Qin Palace's focus was to find the flaws in the Fan Luan ancient Sound Palace. They entered the second level. A misty mountain appeared from the painting wall. Birds were singing and flowers were fragrant. The sounds of nature could be heard. In the deep mountain, a tiger's roar sounded, and a strong gust of wind blew Zhao Feng's clothes in the wind. His footsteps paused, and the resistance was stronger than the previous level. And this was Zhao Feng, whose cultivation had reached the king realm. If it was a genius below the true spirit realm, they would probably be shocked. A mere tiger roar, soul-shocking roar, Li Shui floated forward. Before the scene of the deep mountain in front of her could fully unfold, it quickly disappeared. As long as one understood the profound theory of the music Tao, they would be able to understand it. All of this was used to test the challenger. However, Zhao Feng had a feeling that the scene on the wall was not a simple illusion. Li Shui easily solved the first 10 levels. With her extremely high entertainment path talent, she reached the 32nd level 7 years ago. When she reached the 15th floor, Li Shui slowed down a little. Passing the test mainly tests one's attainment in music Tao, talent, and comprehension. Cultivation isn't the most important thing. Zhao Feng concluded. Otherwise, Lu Qinxin wouldn't have been able to reach the 32nd floor and above 7 years ago. The 20th floor. Ancient beasts came out of the wall one after another. Their auras were enough to scare those at the true lord rank. At this moment, Li Shui needed to make a move. Her lips parted slightly, and an invisible power of the Tao of music seemed to shatter the ancient beasts. The 28th floor of the Fan Luan Ancient Sound Palace. On this floor, a scholarly and handsome male in white sat at the top of a mountain and listened to the waterfall as he played the qin. The male in white had a deep gaze as he looked at the group with a smile. Void God Realm King. Zhao Feng was surprised. Although the male in white had concealed his aura, Zhao Feng was still shocked. Guests from afar, why don't you play a song and enjoy the scenery together? The male in white's voice gave others a feeling of being bathed in the spring wind. According to the normal method, Li Shui needed to play a song and drink with the male in order to win his favor. That male in white's cultivation has reached the void god realm. Normal geniuses won't be able to pass with their entertainment path. Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled. Li Shui was about to go up, but she was stopped by Zhao Feng. The couple from the sacred Qin Palace and company also revealed puzzled expressions. Only to see. Zhao Feng walked up and punched toward the male in white. Boom! This punch contained Zhao Feng's magnificent power as well as the illusion maze domain and the wind lightning domain. You! The male in white screamed as he was sent flying by Zhao Feng's punch and spat out a mouthful of blood. Shwa! The scenery in front of them, including the male, returned to the wall. This way, I can save more time. Zhao Feng clapped his hands and signaled for Li Shui to continue forward. After the 30th floor, the difficulty increased. For example, there was a huge cage on the 33rd floor, and a legendary evil dragon was sealed inside. The evil dragon was black, and its powerful dragon bloodline aura made the hearts of everyone present shake. Only Zhao Feng's mystic ice-scaled race bloodline wasn't affected. Bam! 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 The cage that trapped the evil dragon started to shake. It wouldn't be able to last for more than half a breath. It's an inferior descendant of the legendary true dragon race. The child demigod appeared out of nowhere and stared at the evil dragon. Even if it was an inferior descendant of a true dragon, its body was comparable to an emperor's battle power. The last time I challenged the trial, I was defeated on this floor. However, I encountered a primordial savage beast 7 years ago. Li Shui said. The difficulty of this floor wasn't small. In order to pass, one had to use the Tao of entertainment to appease the evil dragon. Zhao Feng could tell that although the evil dragon was strong, its intelligence wasn't very high. However, even then, it was extremely difficult to appease the evil dragon and make it return to the wall. Compared to 7 years ago, Li Shui's mastery of the Tao of entertainment was much higher. She came before the cage and was surrounded by a warm and motherly aura. Then, Li Shui's steps were light and graceful as she danced. Her ethereal and serene voice drifted into his ears. The evil dragon's gaze was attracted by Li Shui, and its restless emotions finally calmed down. 4 hours later, the evil dragon fell asleep, and the scene in front of it returned to the wall. The difficulty increased by several times or even more when it neared the 40th floor. With Li Shui's talent and comprehension, it was extremely difficult to pass. Luckily, she wasn't the only one who cultivated the Tao of entertainment. The couple from the Qin Palace also entered the Fan Luan Ancient Sound Palace. Although there was no reward for passing the floor, everyone could solve the problem together. On the 40th floor, an old man with a goatee appeared on the hill and gave everyone 3 weird problems. They didn't just test the Tao of entertainment, they also tested the philosophy of fate. Even the couple from the Zither Palace found it hard to pass this trial. Even Zhao Feng and the child demigod couldn't see through the aura of the old man with a goatee. At this point in time, the Fan Luan Ancient Sound Palace didn't just test the 4 arts, it also tested the philosophy of life and fate. Fortunately, it wasn't a matter of one person's intelligence. Li Shui and the Zither Palace couple were the main force, with the little thieving cat and the child demigod behind them. The little thieving cat knew how to predict fate, so it could provide some help. The child demigod's intent was very high, and he had experienced the god tribulation and revived from a drop of blood, so his comprehension of life was extraordinary. The wisdom of the crowd was limitless. It took him half a day to clear this trial. He. Heaven's legacy cat. The goateed old man smiled and glanced at the little thieving cat. Meow, meow. The little thieving cat looked pensively at the goateed old man and revealed a rare complex expression. Whoosh! The scene in front of him disappeared, and the goateed old man returned to the painting. The ancient Sound Palace had a total of 49 levels. After the 40th floor, there were only 9 floors left. For the next 9 levels, the difficulty increased with each level, and there were even scenes of characters from ancient myths and legends. That was not something that could be attacked with brute force. I'm afraid that even a God Realm expert wouldn't be able to force his way in. The power of the Fan Luan ancient Sound Palace, the child demigod had a solemn expression. Thankfully, because it wasn't a normal opening, even if they couldn't pass, they could return to the previous floor and re-enter. If it was a normal opening, there would be an inheritance, but if they couldn't pass, they would be teleported out. 44th floor. 45th floor. 46th floor. Everyone racked their brains. It was incomparably difficult for them to overcome the hurdles one after another. The 47th floor had been stuck for half a month. After failing many times, they had to return to the 46th floor and re-enter. Every time he re-entered, the scenery and details in the painting might change. Zhao Feng's heart went cold. Even if Lu Qinxin was talented and proficient in the Tao of life, she probably wouldn't have been able to pass through level by level with her current cultivation. Of course. Zhao Feng had also forgotten about one factor. If they passed normally, there would be rewards, comprehension, and even inheritances. These were all variables. 48th floor. The couple from the Sky Sacred Qin Palace were excited. Even the founder of the Sky Sacred Qin Palace was said to have stopped at the 40th level when he officially tried to break through. However, there was no reward, but they could try again and again. It couldn't be considered a true pass. Furthermore, the addition of the little thieving cat and the child demigod made up for some of Li Xue's and the couple's shortcomings. 48th floor, the difficulty had reached an unsurpassable level. On this level, there were only 1 or 2 or 3 people in the scene, playing music, singing, or even painting or playing chess. The people in the scene were like gods, and their mastery of the Tao of music had reached a level where they could change fate. One of the women played a song that made people fall into a dream, unable to free themselves. Fortunately, only one representative was sent out to rescue him in time. On this floor, there was also a duel of chess. In the scene, 2 elders were playing chess and didn't know what was happening in the outside world. An elder of the Qin Palace was confident in chess and volunteered to help. In the end, the elder from the Zither Palace froze in front of the chessboard as soon as he stood there. In just a few breaths' time, the elder of the Qin Palace had turned into a stone statue and seemed to have experienced thousands of years. Time, the power of time. The child demigod's expression changed dramatically. This was the domain of gods. On this floor, every scene and person on the walls contained the power of heaven and earth. The 48th floor stumped everyone. They only dared to carefully test it out and immediately retreated if something was wrong. This went on for dozens of times. On the 48th attempt, a woman as cold as jade appeared in the scene. She was dressed in an elegant snow-white dress, full of ancient charm and poetic charm, like a fairy in a painting. The woman was quiet, tranquil, and elegant like a celestial being. She had an appearance that could captivate even birds and beasts, and she was quiet yet resentful as she sat before a zither. This figure. Li Xue was slightly familiar. Qin. How? Zhao Feng's expression changed dramatically as he stared at the goddess in the white dress. Chapter 736. On the 48th floor of the Fan Luan Ancient Sound Palace, Zhao Feng didn't think that he would be able to see the figure that he had been searching for 7 years in such a way. Lu Qinxin's appearance was the same as in his memories, but her aura was even stronger than when she was in the flooding lake city. This female was wearing a snow-white dress that was clean and untainted by dust. She was like a goddess from a painting, elegant and otherworldly, as if she stood at the peak of her generation. "Feng, it's you." The woman who was as elegant as a fairy paled in shock. Bam! One of the strings on the chain in front of Lu Qinxin instantly broke. You know each other." The couple, Li Shui, the child demigod, and company were all stunned. After deciphering the 48th layer, every scene and character was a heaven-defying existence. The female in front of them wasn't an exception. However, the person that appeared this time seemed to know Zhao Feng. She's the person you're looking for." Li Shui's heart shook. The female's mastery of the Tao of entertainment had reached the peak, and her aura didn't seem to belong to this world. What Zhao Feng was searching for was a woman of such peerless beauty. "You're Qinxin." Zhao Feng couldn't believe it. How could Lu Qinxin be the person on the wall? Lu Qinxin calmly looked at Zhao Feng. Her eyes were as clear as a pond in autumn, rippling with emotions. There was joy mixed with deep love and a hint of bitterness. Who exactly are you?" Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye was fully opened and his left eye flashed with purple lightning as his purple hair blew in the wind. A powerful surge of eye intent stunned everyone present. This is his true strength. The hearts of the couple, Li Shui, and company shook, and they felt like they couldn't breathe. "Feng, I'm Lu Qinxin, but I'm not the Qinxin you're looking for." Lu Qinxin looked deeply at Zhao Feng. Unknowingly, 2 streams of tears rolled down her face. Zhao Feng was dazed. What was going on? Every frown and smile of the beauty in front of him, as well as the hidden bitterness in her eyes, was exactly the same as Lu Qinxin when they parted. "Qinxin. What was going on? Are you dead or alive?" Zhao Feng took a deep breath. Even the god's spiritual eye couldn't see through the mysteries of the Fan Luan Ancient Sound Palace. Only the dead will be able to retrace their steps in the painting. "I am Lu Qinxin, but at the same time, I am not. To be more precise, I am a part of Lu Qinxin, possessing all of her abilities, memories, and emotions before she stepped into the 49th floor." Lu Qinxin said. "Dead people?" Zhao Feng's heart skipped a beat and he suddenly felt a chill. "Lu Qinxin, she's dead." The couple and the child demigod both started to think. They had a rough idea of what kind of existence Lu Qinxin was. This Lu Qinxin should have been created by the power of the Fan Luan Ancient Sound Palace. Whether she's an illusion or a life form remains to be seen. The child demigod had his own guesses. Only the dead will retrace their steps in the painting. From the looks of it, the real Lu Qinxin that Zhao Feng is looking for is already dead. Li Shui couldn't help but sympathize. Zhao Feng stood there for a long time with his hands trembling. "Feng, I'm sorry," Lu Qinxin said with a trembling voice. She was created by the power of the Fan Luan Ancient Sound Palace, but her memories of Zhao Feng were the same as the real Lu Qinxin's. "Qinxin, how did you die?" Zhao Feng calmed down. He felt that there was still some truth that he hadn't found out. Lu Qinxin didn't say anything and just looked at him with deep emotions. Shua. Scenes instantly appeared in Zhao Feng's mind. A female in a snow-white dress solved the mysteries of the ancient sound palace step by step and explored the Tao of entertainment. Lu Qinxin received all sorts of rewards and comprehensions. However, as she solved the layers one by one, her body became exhausted. Lu Qinxin's comprehension far surpassed her cultivation and state of existence by thousands of times. On the 48th floor, Lu Qinxin's consciousness and life force were almost all used up. Facing the last floor that was right in front of her, she used up all her consciousness and life force to reach the 49th floor. The memories stopped here. Lu Qinxin should have died after that moment. The real Lu Qinxin you're looking for definitely died on the 49th floor. Otherwise, I wouldn't have appeared. Lu Qinxin said bitterly. When she mentioned the words, real Lu Qinxin, her heart felt like it was being stabbed by a knife. Zhao Feng fell silent for a long time to digest and accept this reality. A while later, I'm going to enter the 49th floor and confirm the truth. Zhao Feng had a determined expression. The Lu Qinxin in front of him was probably an illusion created by the Fanluan ancient sound palace. Even Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye couldn't see through it. But you won't be able to pass me with your strength. Lu Qinxin said. Can't pass. Everyone looked at each other, but they didn't doubt it. One had to know that Lu Qinxin had used her own strength to reach the 48th floor and even the 49th floor. Her Tao of entertainment stood at the peak of this era. Lu Qinxin, since you and Zhao Feng know each other and love each other, why can't you let us pass? Li Shui couldn't help but ask. This is the rule of the Fanluan ancient sound palace. I can't go against it. The woman shook her head. Everyone's heart dropped. Zhao Feng stood where he was and looked towards the 40-something floor with unwillingness in his heart. He wanted to see her, dead or alive. Zhao Feng felt that he was still one step away from the truth. Feng. The woman suddenly said, only you can beat me here, and there's only one way that you can think of. There's only one way. Zhao Feng calmed down and thought quickly. He cultivated the 10,000 divine thoughts technique, which allowed him to split his mind into thousands of thoughts. That method. He immediately thought of it, and bitterness appeared on his face. The scene of him making a bet with Lu Qinxin near the flooding lake city suddenly appeared in his mind. At that time, Lu Qinxin had unsealed her cultivation at the true spirit realm, and Zhao Feng wasn't her match at all. But in the end, Zhao Feng won. Thinking up to there. Zhao Feng took a step forward, and his god's spiritual eye released a strong surge of eye intent. Then, a dreamlike power permeated the void. Qinxin, do you know that ever since I saw you for the first time, my heart has been moved by you? Zhao Feng slowly walked toward Lu Qinxin. In a flash of purple light, the scene in front of them turned into a barren area near the flooding lake city. Is this real? The corners of the classical white-clothed woman's eyes were slightly red, and a hazy mist appeared. Qinxin, I've decided to marry you. Zhao Feng's voice was filled with emotion. Not only did he merge the god's spiritual eye's power of illusions into it, his own emotions were also released. Fanluan ancient sound palace. Zhao Feng and Lu Qinxin tightly hugged each other. How? Zhao Feng smelled the familiar fragrance and the snow-white skin. The temperature was the same as the real thing. With the god's spiritual eye, the Lu Qinxin in front of him was real. If this is a dream, then this is too realistic. Zhao Feng was stunned. The highest level of illusion is reality. The lost in the eyes of the woman in his embrace slowly disappeared, but she still looked deeply at Zhao Feng. Are you really alive, or are you just an illusion? Waves appeared in Zhao Feng's heart. The legend said that the highest level of the Tao of illusions was reality. Feng, you have the 9th god's eye. Have you heard of the legend of the ancestral eye? Lu Qinxin said. The legend of the ancestral eye. Zhao Feng didn't have time to think about how Lu Qinxin knew that he had the 9th god's eye. Legend. The gathering of the 8 great god eyes could summon the supreme ancestral eye, which could change the world and rebuild the order of the universe. But the supreme ancestral eye could not be opened. It was said that everything in the world was a dream of the Brahma gods. If the ancestral eye opened, the dream would be destroyed. Was the Lu Qinxin in front of him real or just an illusion? Zhao Feng couldn't say for sure. Feng. Go and find your real Lu Qinxin. She, who has comprehended the Fanluan fate, is dead but her fate still exists. The white-robed Lu Qinxin gave Zhao Feng one last deep glance. That glance. It seemed to contain all her emotions and the essence of her life. Swish. The scene in front of him disappeared. Zhao Feng had successfully solved the scene of this floor. But for some reason, Zhao Feng felt a sense of emptiness. This time, he defeated the Lu Qinxin in the mural and used the same underhanded method to attack the flaw in her mind. The 48th floor is cleared. The couple and Li Shui were overjoyed. The highest hall of the Fanluan Ancient Sound Palace was located one level above. Meow, the little thieving cat's gaze landed on the large mural. Apart from it, no one else realized that the female in the mural looked deeply at Zhao Feng before revealing a pained expression and turning into a wisp of smoke that disappeared. Zhao Feng, we'll know the truth once we enter the 40th floor. Li Shui said. The couple and company were slightly expectant. Okay. Zhao Feng nodded his head and stepped into the 49th floor. However, there were no more winding steps at the end of the 49th floor. Above them was a vast and mysterious sky. Under the starry sky, there was a ring-shaped hall that looked like a giant wheel. The material of the palace was the same as the Fanluan Ancient Sound Palace outside. However, the people in the hall could see the mysterious starry sky from the center of the circular dome. The mysterious sky seemed to have an unstoppable power. Is this fate? Zhao Feng sensed that the massive wheel-shaped palace was slowly moving through space. This is the ultimate law of the Tao of Entertainment Palace. The couple from the Zither Palace and company all felt the unstoppable power of fate in the sky. Suddenly, a layer of light appeared in a certain area of the circular palace. That's. Everyone's gazes moved away from the sky and landed on a certain person. More accurately speaking, it was a woman. Her skin was like ice jade, flawless, and she wore a snow-white veil. She sat cross-legged on the spot, surrounded by a layer of dense holy radiance that formed a mysterious connection with the mysterious starry sky above the dome. Qinxin. Zhao Feng could tell that it was Lu Qinxin from the back. Whoosh! Whoosh! Zhao Feng's figure flashed next to Lu Qinxin and saw the smile on her face. However, his figure froze as he stared at the motionless figure. It's a corpse without any aura of life. The palace master said. She's dead. A weird light flashed through the child demigod's eyes. After 7 years, not only had this corpse not rotted, its skin was jade white, flawless, and like snow. Moreover, it carried a trace of a rosy sheen, and it even emitted a trace of a refreshing fragrance that refreshed the heart. Just as everyone was silent, the situation changed. Chapter 737. Ancient Azure Island Zone, Azure Flower Continent. In the northern continent, within the canopy Great Country, a black hexagonal tower stood deep in the mountains. The hexagonal tower was ancient and mysterious. It had 49 floors, and it was covered by an unfathomable power. This was the legendary sacred ground of the Azure Flower Continent, the 6 Warlock Divine Tower. At this moment in time, on the top floor of the 49th floor of the 6 Warlock Divine Tower, a tall elder stood with his hands behind his back and looked into the sky. The elder wore a black cloak that was as silent as the night. His eyes seemed to be turbid, but they were as deep as the stars, and they gave off boundless wisdom. Meow. A weird cat's cry sounded into the air. A large silver-black cat had a lazy expression as it leaned against the wall and yawned. Sage, you've been standing here for an entire day and night. There were some figures standing behind the sage. A female priest with a face as beautiful as the night moon and an old man with a white beard were standing close to them. Qinxin, you didn't disappoint me, and you didn't disappoint your mother and master. Very few people have been able to change one's fate. The sage had a gratified expression. His deep eyes seemed to pierce through space as he looked in the direction of the Fan Luan ancient Sound Palace. When a layer of silver light suddenly appeared in the sky above the 6 Warlock Divine Tower and covered the sage. Meow. The big lazy cat shook and revealed an expectant expression. Qin Xin. Lu Qin Xin. The expressions of the female priest, the elder with a white beard, and company behind the sage changed dramatically. In his memories. Wasn't Lu Qin Xin buried in an inheritance? The sage of the 6 Warlock had already concluded that Lu Qin Xin was probably dead. Lu Qin Xin, how is this possible? A beautiful and elegant female had appeared on the 49th floor of the 6 Warlock Divine Tower. This female was extremely beautiful and had a peerless face. Her every frown and smile had the power to charm the world. The newcomer. It was Empress Qin, the disciple of the sage. Didn't Master say that Lu Qin Xin was dead 5 or 6 years ago? Empress Qin's expression kept on changing as she looked at Zhao Feng. In fact, Lu Qin Xin's death had already been confirmed by the 6 Warlock Sorcerer Sage back then. However, due to various considerations, the sage revealed Lu Qin Xin's life and death. Master, didn't you already come to the conclusion that Lu Qin Xin was already dead? How could she change her fate? Empress Qin asked respectfully. The 6 Warlock Sage took in 3 female disciples, and they chose the Fate Dao, Charm Dao, and Entertainment Dao inheritances respectively. Although Empress Qin was the only one who had survived, she had been the one that wasn't valued the most out of the 3 female disciples. Sages loved Fate Dao disciples the most, followed by Entertainment Dao disciples. Unfortunately, these 2 female disciples had paid a great price in order to alter Lu Qin Xin's fate. Empress Qin only played a small part in their deaths. The end of the end is the beginning. Death also means a new life. The sage's cloudy eyes shone with a hint of love and joy. Everyone at the top of the pagoda had a strange expression on their faces. In his memory, it was rare to see a wise man with such a radiance on his face. Freshman. Could it be? The hearts of the priestess, the white-bearded elder, and company shook. At this moment, everyone had their own guesses. After experiencing the Fan Luan realm, she has broken free from the shackles of fate. It's been 7 years, and the seed of new life has blossomed and is about to bear fruit. The sage's expression became brighter and brighter. A few of the Tao of Fate cultivators behind him started to think. Qin Xin, why did you come this time? The sage turned around. He didn't mention anything about Lu Qin Xin anymore. Master, the Scarlet Moon demonic religion has revived and is attacking the continent. The world is in danger. The Scarlet Moon demonic religion patriarch is apparently in seclusion, and he's planning to break through to the Void God realm. Empress Qin said. Over the past few years, the Scarlet Moon demonic religion had revived and was slowly attacking the continent. The Sacred Alliance and the 10 great clans were trying their best to suppress them, but they were unable to stop them. Sage, you will definitely save the world. The people behind him said. Empress Qin's eyes were filled with expectation. The Canopy Great country that she was from was also being invaded by the Scarlet Moon demonic religion. The Iron Blood religion would use this chance to take control of the entire great country and fight against the demonic religion. There's no need to worry. The Azure Flower continent is a place of great providence. The sage smiled. He didn't say anything else and returned to seclusion. Empress Qin let out a long sigh with unwillingness on her face. Meow the big lazy cat looked at her mischievously, then it disappeared from where it was. Gone Sacred Island Zone. On a desolate mini-zone with thin yuan qi. This mini-zone wasn't even 1/5 the size of the 8 desolate mountain, and it was a gray lake. At this moment in time a metallic ship floated on the surface of the lake, and it gave off a weird purple light. 2 death guards stood at the front and back of the ship. Gone Sacred Island Zone, Clan of the Tao of Entertainment. I didn't expect it to be here. A dark figure that was like the god of death appeared at the front of the ship. Next to him stood a white-eyed little girl. The white-eyed girl was growing very quickly. Her white eyes were filled with an aura of eye bloodline power, and there was a mysterious and unfathomable power within them. Master, the clan with the word Qin in it is where the target of death is. The white-eyed little girl said. She was now slender and elegant with a beautiful appearance, but she had an extraordinary temperament. A clan with the word Qin in it. Hee, this reminds me of an ancient and powerful clan of the Tao of entertainment. The smile on the Emperor of Death's face started to become cold. Sky Sacred Qin Palace. This made him remember some grudges that had been sealed in the depths of his memories. The Emperor of Death started to reminisce. The life of any great emperor could be written into a legendary biography. The Death Emperor wasn't an exception. His growth and life weren't always smooth sailing. It was filled with ups and downs, and was full of ups and downs. Very few people knew. The Emperor of Death had to go through 2 rebirths to reach his current level. The first time, he finally reached the peak-tier king level and was about to break through to the Void God realm. In the end, he was ambushed by several emperors. This was because the Emperor of Death had offended too many people, and he had too much potential since he had the eyes of death. Those emperors teamed up and killed the Emperor of Death. The Emperor of Death had a unique eyes of death, and his soul managed to escape. The second time, he was even more unlucky. Although he had become an emperor, he was chased by mystic light realm sacred lords. This time, his soul had almost been destroyed. The second time I died was when I was chased by a sacred lord from the floating dream sacred land. At that time, the Tao of entertainment seemed to have helped me. The Emperor of Death thought back to his sealed memories. After 2 rebirths, he had reached his current level. Now that he stood at the peak of emperors, he had a lot of power, and he knew many terrifying death-forbidden techniques. Even mystic light realm sacred lords wouldn't be willing to offend him or attack him easily. Sky Sacred Qin Palace, let's finish them off together. A cold killing intent appeared in the Emperor of Death's pitch-black eyes. As soon as he finished speaking, the Emperor of Death's figure was nowhere to be seen. Why is my fate being blocked by some power? The white-eyed little girl bit her lips as she held a brush. In the end, she tried her best and managed to draw a picture. The white-eyed little girl's drawing skills had obviously improved. In the picture, one could clearly see the Emperor of Death and a purple-haired youth facing each other. Are they finally going to meet? The 2 death guards next to her looked at the scene in the picture. At the same time, on the 49th floor of the Fan Luan Ancient Sound Palace under the mysterious and boundless ancient starry sky, everyone in the ring-shaped palace suddenly paled. Her flawless body was surrounded by a layer of starlight and gave off a mysterious fragrance that seemed to have the effect of cleansing one's soul. Suddenly, her snow-white skin and jade-like bones began to melt little by little in the mysterious starlight. Qin Qin! Zhao Feng exclaimed. The smiling Lu Qin, who was right in front of him, melted bit by bit in the starlight. Everyone's jaws dropped, but they couldn't do anything. Feng, I can die without regrets since you're here. It's my fortune. A gentle voice sounded on the 49th floor of the ancient Sound Palace. Only to see. A Lu Qin formed by starlight appeared from the melting body. She wore a snow-white dress and looked like a goddess from a painting. Ding! Underneath the corpse that had completely melted, there was a rusty ancient copper coin. Qin, are you dead or alive? Do you still exist? Zhao Feng stared at the Lu Qin. Zhao Feng could tell that this Lu Qin was completely formed by intent. Feng, my death is for me to break through the shackles of fate. Since you found this place, it means that we'll still be together in our next lives. Lu Qin, who was surrounded by starlight, smiled in satisfaction. Her body, which was made of starlight, showed signs of instability, and the light gradually dimmed. Zhao Feng's expression changed. This was only a wisp of intent left behind by Lu Qinxin, and it appeared through the mysterious power of the Fan Luan ancient sound palace. There's not much time left. Lu Qinxin's expression became serious as she said, Feng, take this coin. It might help you resolve the danger that's coming. Xiu xiu. The Lu Qinxin formed by starlight turned into a dot of light and merged into the coin. Instantly. The rusty coin glowed with mysterious starlight and landed in Zhao Feng's palm. Feng, this is my gift for you, see you in the next life. That clear and gentle voice faded into the void. Lu Qinxin's aura disappeared from the 49th floor of the Fan Luan ancient sound palace. Zhao Feng stared at the starlight coin in his hand and was dazed for a moment. The danger that's coming? Did Qinxin already predict something? Zhao Feng's consciousness sank into the coin. Instantly. His mind and consciousness entered a starry world. In this world, the sun, moon, and stars revolved in a mysterious way and created an immeasurable power. In the next instant, all kinds of comprehension and concepts merged into Zhao Feng's mind as the sun, moon, and stars revolved. The sound of a zither seemed to enter Zhao Feng's ears and reverberated in his soul. The ancient coin contained a special power and concept of the Tao of music that merged into Zhao Feng's soul. Zhao Feng felt that his soul had become clear and pure. The effect was more than 10 times that of the illusion god wine. Chapter 738. The power of the Tao of music contained within the coin was extremely unique. Not only could it increase one's intent, it could also cleanse and strengthen one's soul. It could be said that it had both the mermaid tears and the illusion god wine, but the effect was even stronger. Within the world of stars, the sun, moon, and stars spun in a profound way, and they contained the laws of the universe. The music of the Tao of music seemed to have penetrated through the reincarnation time and space, pulling at one's heart and soul, making one enter a state of emptiness. In just a few breaths' time, Zhao Feng felt as if he were a deity, and his soul intent was clear and had the effect of removing impurities and purifying it. One had to know, Zhao Feng's soul was already on the same level as an emperor's, and now that it had been refined, it was as transparent as glass. Of course, the increase in intent was what moved Zhao Feng. In this short period of time, Zhao Feng's soul intent had reached a perfect level. Everything in his senses was extremely clear, and the intent of heaven and earth appeared right in front of him. This is the perfect intent that only emperors can have. Zhao Feng sighed in his heart. However, just like the illusion god wine, the effect was only temporary. The illusion god wine was very helpful to those below the void god realm, but after becoming a king, the intent of the soul would change, and it would be countless times stronger than the origin core realm. Therefore, even if the bronze coin was 10 times stronger than the illusion god wine, it wouldn't be able to make Zhao Feng instantly break through. Shua! Zhao Feng's consciousness returned to reality, and the feeling of intent quickly faded. Everything was like the moon in the water. As for the bronze coin in his hand, the starry patterns on its surface had dimmed a little. Master? The child demigod was surprised. The slight change in Zhao Feng's aura just now naturally didn't escape his eyes. Seniors, we've reached our goal. Zhao Feng expressed his gratitude toward the couple. They had pretty much confirmed Lu Qinxin's whereabouts. The couple still had puzzled expressions. They still hadn't figured out what had happened to the Fan Luan ancient sound palace. Brother Zhao, do you know how Lu Qinxin entered the Fan Luan ancient sound palace? The couple looked over with questioning gazes. The Fan Luan ancient sound palace comes from the ancient era before the Fan universe was born, and it involves the laws of heaven and earth, including the Tao of music, the Tao of life, and samsara. It's not something that any force can control. Zhao Feng said. In his mind, there were the memories of Lu Qinxin on the wall, as well as the enlightenment of the music Tao from the starspot ancient copper coin. Firstly, The Fanluan ancient sound palace wasn't under the complete control of the Zither palace. Even the founder couldn't do that. Secondly, it involved karma of the Tao of fate, as well as a mysterious force. There was also a of karma and a of Tao. Demigod of soul of divine. The of Tao of soul. The Tao of the of song. Of Tao, which the Chen, and many that of divine, Zhao Chen. If it wasn't for Qin Xin, I wouldn't have entered the outside world so quickly, and I would have missed the demigod Forgotten Garden. If it wasn't for Qin Xin, I wouldn't have entered the outside world so quickly, and I would have missed the demigod Forgotten Garden. Zhao Feng understood fate very well. Back then, becoming Lord Guanzhuan's disciple was a turning point in his fate. Otherwise, Zhao Feng wouldn't have entered the world of cultivation so quickly, and it would have been delayed for decades. If Zhao Feng had listened to Patriarch Hong's suggestion and entered a two-star sect through the Sacred Alliance, he would have only reached the peak small origin core realm. The skeletal division leader was the same. It only reached its current level because it followed Zhao Feng. One had to know that. The skeletal division leader's current strength was comparable to the Scarlet Moon Patriarch's, and with the addition of the Ghost Corpse curse, it was even stronger than the Scarlet Moon Patriarch's. The group of people walked down from the 49th floor. There was still some doubt in the couple's eyes, but the Fanluan ancient sound palace wasn't something they could control. Senior Zhao, it doesn't seem like Lady Lu died a simple death since she was able to reach the 49th floor. Li Shui couldn't help but be curious. There were many things that were weird about this. Firstly, if Lu Qinxin had stopped at the 48th floor, it would have been a good choice. Secondly, Zhao Feng didn't seem to be as sad as one would imagine. In fact, he was extremely calm. Qinxin succeeded in reversing fate and luck. She died contentedly. Everything she did seemed to be paving the way for a new life. Zhao Feng said in a low tone. After all, Lu Qinxin didn't die a violent death. That was her goal. The fact that Zhao Feng had found her made her have no regrets. She had even prepared a gift for Zhao Feng's possible arrival. I still need to ask the sage about Qinxin's new life. Zhao Feng thought. Now, 7 years had passed. Zhao Feng suspected that Lu Qinxin had been reborn for 6 or 7 years. After leaving the ancient Sound Palace, Zhao Feng and the couple worked together to reseal the Fanluan ancient Sound Palace. On the same day, under the urging of the Sky Sacred Qin Palace couple, Zhao Feng decided to temporarily stay in the Sky Sacred Qin Palace as a guest. The couple from the Sky Sacred Qin Palace didn't know that their unintentional action had helped the Sky Sacred Qin Palace avoid a disaster. Zhao Feng wanted to comprehend the star-spotted ancient bronze coin, so he agreed. Inside an elegant loft, Zhao Feng sat cross-legged and started to comprehend the star-spotted ancient bronze coin. His consciousness entered the vast and mysterious starry world. The sound of the zither lingered in his ears. It was dreamy and illusory, as if it had penetrated the reincarnation time and space. Zhao Feng instantly entered a transcendent state, and his soul intent rose once again. This time, in this peaceful environment, Zhao Feng used every second he had to comprehend. In order to increase the effect of his comprehension, Zhao Feng opened his God's spiritual eye and tried to imprint the intent into his mind. Zhao Feng didn't just rely on the star-spotted ancient bronze coin. He would only comprehend for 10 breaths each time, and then use a few hours to comprehend the power of heaven and earth to stabilize his intent. After all, there was a limit to the power of the Tao of music from the star-spotted ancient bronze coin. Zhao Feng wanted to absorb the most of its power. Furthermore, this star-spotted ancient bronze coin was Lu Qinxin's final gift, and Zhao Feng didn't want to use up all of its power, so he wanted to keep it. Time passed by. Surges of heaven and earth power would occasionally appear in the air above Zhao Feng's building, but they would quickly disappear. The intent contained within them seemed to have surpassed the level of a king. Within the dimension of his left eye, The size of the purple soul sea didn't change much, but it started to become translucent. This was something that only emperors who had reached the peak stages of the void god realm could have. Zhao Feng felt that his mental energy was like a seedling that was growing. The power of his intent spread through heaven and earth, and it became stronger and stronger. However, the starlight on the surface of the star-spotted ancient bronze coin started to dim. I'm just a step away from forming emperor intent. Excitement and expectation appeared in Zhao Feng's heart. After being refined by the god tribulation lightning and the ancient dream realm, his soul was comparable to an emperor's, and he had all the requirements to form emperor intent. As long as his intent increased by half a level, everything would happen. In the blink of an eye. A day or two passed. The power of heaven and earth above the building that Zhao Feng was in started to twist, and there was a layer of light on the surface. The scene was like auspicious clouds enveloping the surroundings, and it was extraordinary. No matter how hard Zhao Feng tried to hide it, he couldn't stop this interaction between heaven and earth. The increase in his intent was to become one with heaven and earth and control the mysteries of heaven and earth. It's about time. Zhao Feng's mental energy intent was like a pearl that was being refined. It started to become crystal clear and gave off a rare light. At this moment in time, he had a hallucination that the power of wind, thunder, and fire in this world revolved around his will as if they were worshipping the emperor. If he was willing. With just one intent, Zhao Feng could restrict the space of an area and not just affect the heaven-earth yuan qi. Normal emperors' understanding of heaven and earth had reached an unimaginable level. As a result, they were able to materialize their domain space and form a private elementary small world. However, a little world was built on the true yuan dimension, which was the source of power. At a certain moment in time, Zhao Feng's god's spiritual life suddenly jumped a few times, as if it was giving a warning. Suddenly, a shocking intent of death crossed the limitless ocean and entered the Sky Qin zone where the Sky Sacred Qin Palace was. An hour later, a strong magnificent power of death quickly approached the Sky Sacred Qin Palace. It's the intent of an emperor, and it's the rare intent of death. The hearts of the couple from the Sky Sacred Qin Palace jumped. Everyone, be on guard. The heavenly sacred Qin Palace hurriedly activated the mountain protecting formation. Is it here? The child demigod stood in front of the building and looked in a certain direction. The intent of an emperor was extremely strong. In terms of intent, it wasn't any weaker than a mystic light realm. After all, a mystic light realm's true yuan was the fusion of the soul and the true yuan. Even the child demigod felt uneasy in his mind. As the magnificent power of death neared, countless beings within several thousand miles felt the shadow of death, and their bodies went cold from fear. From the small ants to the human sovereigns and kings, they all felt uneasy and afraid. Emperor of Death, why have you come to the Sky Sacred Qin Palace? The couple from the Sky Sacred Qin Palace stood in the air as their magnificent powers covered the entrance. The two kings, one Qin and one Sword, stood side by side, and their spatial domains actually supported each other. The couple from the Sky Sacred Qin Palace were originally a duo. Their cultivation complemented each other, and after a while, they became experts that teamed up against each other. The combination of their Qin and Sword had once defeated peak-tier kings in a head-on battle. However, at this moment in time, facing the magnificent power of death that seemed to be able to devour everything, their faces went white, and they were like two candles in a storm. In their vision, the world fell into darkness. An ancient and imposing figure wearing a dark golden crown approached step by step like the projection of the Grim Reaper. Emperor of Death. The entire heavenly sacred Zither Palace was deathly silent. The couple from the Sky Sacred Qin Palace knew this ancient Emperor of Death very well. The previous leader of the Sky Sacred Qin Palace had once participated in hunting down the Emperor of Death, even if he was just a supporting force. Now that the Emperor of Death had arrived, the Sky Sacred Qin Palace wouldn't be able to escape. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.